After Nixon with you, 15 days away. The cool people on Twitter are being creative today and saying Mahomes days away from the season. That's the creative thing today.
That's
on social media.
Dumb.
Yeah, I knew you would say that. I knew you would.
It's corny. It's stupid.
That's why I brought
it's
it up.
like beyond a dad joke.
That's why I brought it up.
That's lame. And if you're doing that, you're also lame.
I
And
didn't
look,
tweet it.
I am a dorky human being, and I am willing to accept parts of my lifestyle that equate to that.
Mm-hmm.
That's stupid.
Yeah, you saw a lot on social media today, I'm sure. It's already
Those
been
same
out there.
people say that it's Christmas Eve on like the 21st of December.
Oh.
You know, same person, identical people. I'm just letting you know.
Oh, dude, I gotta check now. Did Drew? Did you tweet Mahomes days or something?
No, I did
Okay,
not.
just making sure.
The Chiefs will send out one and be like, how many days? And it'll be like, I can accept if you just say, not Mahomes days. If you said it's 15 days away with a picture of Mahomes, that's acceptable. I will allow
I've seen that too. I've seen that too.
That is fine.
I'm
Calling
not
it
that much of a sicko to do that.
Yeah, just get on social media just to do it. At least you have access to your account now. You know?
Yeah, thank God.
All is set up. All is good. We are going to hear from Andy Reid and number 15, Patrick Mahomes, coming up around 10:30 or so. They'll speak and get a little update on where things are at. Also, just who's at practice, who's not. We know L'Jarius Sneed continues to not practice, and Karlaftis was sick yesterday. So we'll check in on that coming up around 10:30 or so. But before we get back into some Chiefs football here, we know when we went off the air yesterday, we mentioned that we were waiting the renderings for the two stadium sites. And I was excited because we actually did get the renderings we thought we were getting, not just the initial poster board thing where it was like
I told
the
you,
aerial.
man, you had to just wait.
Yeah, and we got real video renderings for both the downtown East Village site and the North Kansas City Clay County site. And initial reaction to both, they both look great. They should look great, by the way. When you're
Renderings are designed to look good, it turns out.
They should look great. The kind of money that the Royals and Populists have invested in this already, they should both look really, really attractive. I'll be honest, though, the Clay County site looks the coolest between the two. I think
It's the space.
it's the space that you have to work. I believe based off of the renderings, and I'll point that out. Renderings, it doesn't always mean it's going to be exactly that too. It's pretty close,
I can
but
tell you
it's renderings.
with very good authority, both are far from the final plan. Specifically at the North Kansas City site because of the lack of time they've had to do it. This is not like this is definitively how this will look, no questions asked.
Yeah, so renderings are fun, but any of the, we'll get into this later in the show, like the things that you felt were missing in the stadium, like that stuff could still be added later. But in general, I thought the Clay County site looked really cool. It's unique compared to the downtown rendering, which can change, as we mentioned. My biggest holdup still is the location and downtown baseball. So if you're asking me, am I good if they all of a sudden chose Clay County? Yeah, I'm going to go to the games. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be an awesome experience. I have no doubt they will do a great job with that.
You just have to drive 10 minutes further than you were.
Populous has built some of the best stadiums in the world. So I have no doubt that the project will be incredible in Clay County. It's going to, as I said before the Rangers came out, you're going to have a tough time ever convincing me, though, that downtown baseball isn't the best because of what the actual atmosphere that brings, and that is what we've always talked about. It's been something that, before you and I did the show, has been talked about in this city. Downtown baseball, not neighborhoodish North Kansas City baseball.
No, that's also why in the renderings you see them include things like a pedestrian bridge to downtown. That's not an accident that in the preliminary renderings of a North Kansas City site, it includes things that get you downtown because they're going to want to develop that east side still, would be my guess. They bought up that land. There's development properties that are available there in North Kansas City. Like a lot of the North Kansas City issues are, in my opinion, logistical.
Yeah.
Right now, I can see why this site works. How you can build it out in a way that makes it cool. How it can be just as cool as a downtown stadium as far as like functionality and the atmosphere and the spaces around it and all the things that go with it. It is the cooler looking site of the two. But they have to work on, they've got bigger infrastructure issues. They would need more money.
Yes.
Then they would need a higher tax amount than Jackson County by about double. It would probably be like maybe a cent instead of 3/8 cent sales tax, and it'd probably be on the hook for 30 years. Now, look, I heard Dave Helling on Carrington Show yesterday be like, and then in 20 years, they're going to ask for stadium upgrades. I'm like, Yeah, that doesn't matter where they build that. Just so you know, all teams are going to ask for more money all the time.
Sure.
Clay County can't be thinking about when they're going to come with their hand out in 20 years. That's how stadiums work. The Royals have been and Chiefs have been asking for money for years from Jackson County, even outside of the normal stadium cost. But I mean, at least they're taking it seriously. But I still think it's I think some people would characterize it as a 50-50 shot. I think it's still more like a 20% chance of the Clay County side. I still think they would prefer to go downtown, all of those things. But at least the site looks cool.
No, they did a great job with the renderings. I think we've known all along that more of the work has been done on the East Village site. That has still always been the preference. And now it's going to come down to the financial element and where they think, A, it can pass, but also what the city or county or state, and specifically counties, I guess, at this point, are willing to allow and willing to cooperate with. And there's, like, you can find any survey, and you can find a survey in Jackson County that makes it look negative towards passing. You can find a survey that came out yesterday in Clay County that says voters don't want it, right? So
I could also find 3 surveys that said they'd never passed multiple things they passed in this city.
Correct.
So.
But there was the just to bring it up, there was a survey of only 300 registered Clay County voters that provided research and provides research, and on that, it mentioned that 22% were in support, 8% were undecided about their stance on a new tax to help fund construction of a new multi-billion-dollar stadium. That's in general. That's not just the Clay County side. 70% of respondents said they would be opposed. Now, it's 300 people in Clay County, and there's always different surveys. We know polling can be way off, but that's just something that was brought up yesterday and asked even to Brooke Sherman and the Royals, hey, are you aware of the survey? And they were. I think what's interesting is still the timing. We heard again yesterday that now it's 2028 for sure. Like, that's really
They've given up on their 2027
Well, think about it. At one point, they wanted to get something on the ballot this November. That deadline has passed. That's not possible. Now the question is, can they get something on the ballot in April? Whether it's Clay County in April, and is it possible to get something on the Jackson County ballot in April? And that's where the Chiefs part comes in, and will be interesting to see how the Chiefs play a role in this. We know initially the timeline is for the Royals to select one of these sites next month. I felt like there was a little bit of leaving the door open yesterday, if you listen to the press conference, that they were still mentioning the September deadline, but I feel like they left the door cracked a little bit to where, well, if something happens, they could pivot past September. So I don't know if it's 100% we're going to find out next month that they're picking Clay County.
Yeah, they seem to move off of that timeline, which by the way would indicate to me they're more serious about Clay County. They want to do more research because a month is an impossibly tight timeline, and I also think it's why they've shut down. Like, they're openly admitting to you now that they have not revealed all the financial details that you would need in order to make a decision about this. But they're not hiding from the fact that they haven't revealed that. They're telling you they haven't told you everything you need to know.
Yeah, you heard a lot of, we're working on this still and things like that.
It's too early to tell you.
I'll disagree, I guess, on the point that, hey, if it doesn't get decided in September, that means they're leaning towards Clay County. The only reason why I'll push back on that, I don't know what it means, Cody, but I would say I don't think it's definitive that it means they're doing more work on Clay County if it goes past September. I think it means potentially also that they're waiting on the Chiefs to find out, because we know that the simplest way to get the pass in Jackson County is to tie it to the Chiefs as well. And if the Chiefs aren't ready and ready to get something on the ballot next April, then if the Royals want Jackson County, I think they would have to wait. And if they have to wait, then you're talking November of 2024. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but that is a possibility. And if that happens, that's a whole different conversation in terms of what that does to the timeline for the stadium projects as well.
There are a lot of missing elements financially. We know generally what the ask would be in Jackson County. They've made it clear that they wanted an extension of the sales tax. They even threw out the number of $400 million. I think the meeting before this last one, they had officially said that number kind of is a
300
ballpark.
to 400.
Yeah, right. They put out a number that it's at least, hey, around here. But they also they've been very coy about the exact infrastructure improvements, other than the fact that they know that they would need both, including more in the Clay County. Clay County would just need more. They need more infrastructure. They're not built for it the same way. They need more taxes. They need all of this. And I see the text line pointing out, I'd be like, you realize Kansas City would be hurt by this because of the 1% tax, and every single professional athlete who plays for the Kansas City Royals all of a sudden would not be giving them 1% of their earnings for the time in which they spent there. Like, yeah, I get it. But these budgets are massive. It would be a hit to that. So would losing the Royals. That's an amount of money that they are used to. 162 games at 1%. And if you don't know this, if you are like a baseball player who visits Kansas City, you pay that 1%. You have to pay the taxes of the place you go to, which is, to me, still wild as like a concept. But
Well,
There's just a lot of work for the Clay County side. I think if they're going to take it seriously, I'd be surprised if we get an answer in September. It's downtown. If we don't get an answer in September, then maybe it leaves that door open possibility for Clay County.
The renderings made it to where I can see the vision of the Clay County site, and so my disappointment if it didn't end up downtown probably is a little less than what it was
softened yesterday,
24 hours ago. But there's no doubt my preference is downtown, and that's also. And I thought I was listening to Fesco this morning, and I actually agree with him on this. And it's like, why didn't the renderings actually come out earlier? Because here we're at least talking about some exciting things, some excitement, build some excitement around the stadiums. And yet it was all kind of the negative, poor messaging stuff for months and months and months. I agree with Bob on that. Like the renderings, in a way, what would have happened if they would have come out with renderings earlier? Would there be a different feel around this entire project? I think it's a fair question.
Just a standard photo or whatever.
But these are real. These are real 3D and video renderings and things like that. But the sales tax, and for those on the text line, someone's questioning you, saying, hey, it's an income tax. It's not an income tax. No, Cody's referencing not the 3/8 cents sales tax. He's saying when you're a visiting player, you come in, there's still a 1% earnings tax.
For living for Kansas City, Missouri.
Yeah, that's what
which it falls in.
Yeah,
I wasn't
the ballot, of course, is in Jackson County, potentially a 3/8 cent. In Clay County, because of the population difference, there's at least some rumors that it could be as much as a cent sales tax.
I will say I was a bit the reason, going back to the reason why I still think they're serious about Clay County is they presented these as equal options. Like they didn't try to favor one in this meeting or pretend to favor one in this meeting, and they're just like,
I feel like they have to do that. They were asked, by the way, are they on equal standing, and they said yes. And whether it's we'll take them at what they said at their word in the press conference. Whether it's not true or not, you have to present it that way. I mean, you can't. It'd be silly to be like, yeah, actually, here's the Clay County side, but we really want this side instead. Because if you end up going to Clay County, you don't want it to be known that publicly you said you really didn't want to go there compared to the other. So they have to keep it on equal footing.
I know that it's because of the bidding thing, but this was like Mayor Lucas yesterday on Carrington show on the drive, talking about not wanting to be in a bidding war.
But I think what you always have to make sure you're doing is ensuring that the price is right. And that's what I think our conversations ahead are going to be about. And what I will not be doing is getting into a bidding war with another jurisdiction in Kansas City. I'm proud to be the mayor of the largest city in Jackson County, the largest city in Clay County. And I think we're going to figure out a way to make sure that we're not bidding against each other.
I mean, that's good in theory. Also, this is a change in language, in my opinion, than when he was like, I mean, now he's just like, he's essentially admitting they're in it together versus before, if you remember, the Jackson County stance was, I don't know why they're including them in this conversation. We were always going to do this downtown. They have a lease with us. They're not going anywhere. Now he's like, whoa. We're not fighting with each other. We're just both going to present our plans and we'll see who they choose. And you're like, ooh, you've already softened a little. And also, I got bad news. I know that you don't like the notion of it, but the Royals are a business. It is smart business to have a bidding war. It just is. Like, whether you like it or not, it is good business by the Royals. And I know it's like, well, but I'm the taxpayer. I'm stuck in the middle. Like, yeah, I mean, that's how business works sometimes. It stinks. Kansas City, too, should be used to it because of the Missouri and Kansas fights for years over businesses.
It's business and political. That's what this is. That's all that this is about. Business and political campaigning, essentially, is what is going on with this. And it can get ugly, and that's where we're at. Textline wants to know, Cody, if we are getting paid to convince people to like the stadium. Yeah, I cashed my $100,000 check from John Sherman this morning. Thank you, John. I appreciate that. Give me a break.
I usually assume I've done something right, by the way. If open doors. We are an open book on this show. You apparently think that I'm pitching it too well just because I think a rendering site looks cool. Meanwhile, I've told you I don't like taxpayer-funded stadiums. Gold and I have come on the show multiple times to tell you we don't think the Royals have given enough information. We called the rollout of the original announcement fumbling and confused and without a message. So you think I'm too kind to the Royals, and the Royals think I'm not kind enough. So I'm firmly in the middle. I'm good. No, by the way, who doesn't like the renderings?
That's what I said. That's why I asked the question, and I referenced it's like if they would have come out with them earlier, like I said, I heard from Fesco this morning, would that have actually changed? Because renderings are fun. Like, it is exciting to see projects. Now, there's questions that have to be asked within it, and I still feel like a lot of them were not answered yesterday still, because I don't think they have the answers yet on some of them. You heard a lot of still, we're working on this. And now I still think, they left the door open that maybe we don't find out next month this site. So I think there's a lot of information we still don't know.
This is the best day they've had for the stadium conversation in 3 months, because they have had plenty of opportunities where I'm like, you didn't say anything. You're still not giving us a firm number. Say an actual number, not an extension of the sales tax. Tell us how it relates to the Chiefs. Tell us how long you want this money for. Give us actual hard data on economic impact, which they still haven't done that. They gave some really big, broad, generic numbers in this meeting of like, it's going to bring $600 million to the area, things that aren't tangible. And I've told you before, I would be very careful in trusting those economic studies. There are very serious intellectual people who have studied the economic reports that come out revolving stadiums as they relate to the city, and they are always inflated, consistently inflated.
Yeah, for me, it's the part though with the revenue generation, and this is something we won't really know for sure until unfortunately it happens, and that is with the extra private development that's going to be around one of these two sites, whenever that day comes, whichever one it is, the revenue from that, how much is going back into the team. And that's been a big selling point that the Royals have tried to emphasize. And there's a lot of skepticism around it. I get it. Like, that's something they're going to have to prove and show. And I think it actually that starts this offseason as well. But let's say it's 2028 and they've got hotels and commercial and everything else around the next Royals Park, whatever it's going to be called. We'll get to that later in the show, by the way. How much of that are they putting back in the team? That's something they have continued to emphasize, that will allow them, because it doesn't count against your revenue sharing, by the way. All the money you get from the commercial hotels and all that
the
around,
district around,
that's not part of MLB revenue sharing. Okay, so that'll be interesting.
That's why they all want to build these districts.
Absolutely, it's a real estate play. But the issue of, are they going to spend money? That's why this offseason, I think you pointed out yesterday, that's why this offseason is also super important. If they are voting in April or they're voting next November, whenever it's going to happen, and they're asking people to vote in Jackson County or Clay County, people want to see that they're already going to spend some money, whether that's a Bobby Witt extension, whether that's just going out and spending X amount of money on pitching, whether it's making big trades. They're going to have a huge offseason. I'm not saying it means they're going to compete in 24.
Can we get those Mercedes-Benz pricing for their stadium? You see them? You get like $20, you can get like a whole platter
for
of
the concession. The
Can
concessions.
we get the Mercedes-Benz Stadium concession pricing? I'm just asking. Can't hurt to ask.
That was a big thing that that the Falcons did down there. It's like $20 for
a mountain of food.
Yeah, drink,
pretzel,
chicken
a couple
fingers,
hot dogs,
or whatever. Yeah.
Don't they have like a Chick-fil-A in the actual stadium as well?
They do. What was the contract? Did they actually open it on Sunday or no?
No.
So it's still not open for Falcons games. Only there for like concerts and things like that.
Saturday football games, I guess, and for when they occasionally let a college team roll through.
In the 11 o'clock hour, we'll talk about some of the actual details of what you want in the new stadium. I know there's some things that people were upset were missing from some of the renderings yesterday. We'll get to that kind of stuff coming up in the 11 o'clock hour here on Cody and Gold. Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes coming up in about 10 minutes or so. We're gonna hear from both of them. And before that, I'm sure Andy will be asked about Chris Jones. I don't expect much of an answer, honestly. But we know the tweets yesterday from Chris Jones responding to a fan.
Correct.
Saying he's, hey, when are you going to show up? And he said, week 8. I think it's pretty clear, though, now that if Chris Jones does miss any games, not to week 8, if he misses week 1 against the Lions, this is the first time where I don't think Brett Veach had a good read on a contract negotiation, right? We've praised him for how he handled the Tyreek Hill situation. They quickly pivoted and found a trade partner. The rest is history here, right? They've obviously handled the Mahomes negotiation extremely well. We're talking all the time. Mike Florio's all upset that it's a great deal for the Chiefs, right? We mentioned how they've taken care of Travis Kelce, how they're willing to walk on other guys. They've and Brett Veach in the front office have handled things beautifully for most of these negotiations.
They misdiagnosed their relationship with Chris.
This is one where they misread. And go back to May. Listen to what Brett Veach said in May just about priorities for the offseason and where things were at then.
Well, I don't until you get a deal done. I don't know in this league if you're ever confident with anything, but I think that's on the list of things to do. And we get into the off season and you're into combine meetings.
Forgot about that.
And then you're into free agency, and then you're into the draft, and then after the draft, we let the dust settle and start working on the future and things we can get accomplished in the spring. So we'll spend time, and obviously we have a great relationship with Chris and his staff. So we'll get to work and see what we can do. And those things usually take a little bit of time here. So we have a little bit of a runway now until the start of training camp to hopefully get something done.
So
did you forget that was the cat?
That was
somebody's cat
in the background. I forgot about that. But that was in May when they did have runway. when they're like, man, they got 2 months till camp. No problem. Get this thing done with Chris Jones. Oh, he'll show up. I mean, I said it. You said it. He'll show up by camp. No big deal. He didn't show up for camp. Well, let's check back in after the first preseason game. Still nothing. Now it seems like things are bleaker than ever. 15 days away from the season. You got Chris Jones tweeting out to a fan, I can afford to sit out till week 8. I mean, I think they misjudged the situation.
They pissed him off. Whatever it is, I think they must have come in low. Like, whatever the national reports are, that the Chiefs are being competitive in this, I think it's flatly not true. I think they were trying to beat Quinnen Williams' number by like $500,000 a year and said, we're good, right? And the difference between Quinnen Williams and Aaron Donald is $8 million a year. There is a massive chasm between the highest paid defensive tackle and the second highest paid defensive tackle. And Chris Jones, rightfully so, is probably asking for that bigger number. And because he said all the right things, he said, I want to play here forever and all that stuff. The Chiefs thought, oh, we're good. We're good. We're comfortable. We got all the time in the world. And they did not treat it with the urgency it required. The other, because that, I think you're right. I think he's misread the situation. But at some point, just real quick, we're going to hear from Patrick Mahomes in a couple of minutes.
Yep.
If you're Mahomes, at some point, aren't you like, hey, is there a reason that I'm taking this sweetheart of a deal for the next 10 years so that I can surround myself with talent, but you refuse to pay anybody? You can't walk on everybody. Why am I saving you the money then? If you're not going to pay Tyreek, if you're not going to pay Chris Jones, you didn't pay Ward. You let Clark, it doesn't matter. All the players who have left town, because no one has stayed besides Kelsey and him, for all the players who have left town, are you planning on spending that money I'm saving for you or no?
Now, the argument, obviously, the instant reaction argument as well. Well, Pat, I've built a championship roster for you. You've won 2 rings, so I know what I'm doing, right? That's the immediate counter. I get what you're saying.
Sure, but he's saving his money so that we can win more than 2.
I'm with you. I'm with you. And that's why this is surprising. I mean, I think you have to be surprised. I don't think anybody, period, thought that Chris Jones on August 23rd today would still be out there tweeting and not getting to camp. I mean, and practice. The camp's over. I think that's obviously stunning. And, someone asked, hey, are you guys nervous yet? I said Monday. Monday is when I get really nervous that he's going to actually miss an NFL game. We're 15 days out today. You get to Monday, that's when I get nervous that he legitimately is going to miss week 1 of the season. So on Monday, I guess we don't have a show Monday for us. Tuesday, we'll check back in.
Yeah, I would be concerned. It was a misevaluation by Brett. Whatever he thought the number was going to be for Chris Jones, it was higher. He was closer on Tyreek. He had a deal with Tyreek. And then Devontae Adams blew it up. It sounds like he's never had a deal with Chris.
All right, coming up next, Patrick Mahomes. What does he think about all this with Chris Jones? Does he think Chris Jones is playing week 1? We'll hear from him next.
Cody and Gold.
The Disgusting Brothers.
Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
Hurry in now for NFM's clearance sale. These amazing deals are first come, first served. Closeout, open box, and floor sample selections are updated daily. Don't miss taking up to 80% off suggested retail on furniture. Browse NFM's rock bottom costs on flooring and save up to 60% off suggested retail on appliances and electronics. Shop markdowns on appliances, electronics, furniture, and flooring only at the in-store clearance centers. It's first come, first served at clearance prices right now at NFM.
Well, we just picked up an extra couple minutes each and every day now that we're not driving up to St. Joe for camp. And the last time I added a few extra minutes to my day was when I decided to get rid of my contacts or glasses. When I called DuraVision over 2.5 years ago and decided enough is enough. I need to save some time in the mornings dealing with contacts, remembering to pack contact solution on trips. All that is over now that I see with my own 2 eyes after calling DuraVision for that free consultation. They walked me through exactly what they could do for my vision going forward. And a couple days later, I went in for my procedure, and now it's like I've been like this my entire life, basically. I wake up, and I forget that I ever wore contacts. I see with my own 2 eyes. I have improved vision, safer vision. Laser vision actually is 5 times safer than contacts due to infections that some people can get as well. And right now, you can save up to $1,000 on your LASIK procedure with DuraVision's Into Summer LASIK Savings event. But you got to hurry up before it's too late. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Go to DuraVision.com or give them a call at 913-491-3330.
Made to shine. Real stories from Shane Company customers.
I was 20 years old, stationed in Hawaii, and 2 weeks before I was deployed, I met the love of my life. The second I returned, I bought a cheap ring at the Base Exchange and proposed. 15 years later, I went to Shane Company and got her a one-of-a-kind ring with a pear-shaped diamond. It's the ring she deserves.
Shine forever with Shane Company's hand-selected diamonds, as unique as your love story. Shane Company, fine jewelry since 1929.
Hey, are your old windows letting all that good air conditioning out? Well, on those hot summer days, that cool air is escaping through your old leaky windows and the hot air is pouring in. You want to replace those old windows and keep the cool air inside your house this summer. We still got some time in the summer. You also need to prepare for the winter when the opposite is going to happen. That's why I'm here telling you about Window World, the official window of the Kansas City Chiefs. Window World's windows are one of 2 windows with a good housekeeping seal of approval, ranked number 1 in number of windows sold in the country by Qualified Remodeler magazine. Just over 20 years in business, they have improved the look and thermal efficiency over 52,000 homes in Kansas City. You get a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor, because Window World uses a double strength glass that gives it a strength that is not commonly used in replacement windows. Right now, they're offering 18 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. All you need to do is call them for a free home estimate. Replace your windows and keep the cool air inside your house this summer with Window World.
Right now at Wendy's, when you buy either Dave's Single, Spicy Chicken Sandwich, Medium Frosty, or 10-piece nuggets, you can get another for just $1. Your dollar never tasted so good. So it's obvious what everyone will get, right?
Definitely nugs
Spicy
and
chicken
a frosty.
sandwich,
Dave's single and a frosty for me.
And a frosty.
Okay, who said Frosty and a Frosty? Pick your obvious choice. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's, buy one, get one for $1.
Limited time only. Price of participation may vary. U.S. Wendy's, valid for item of equal or lesser value. Cannot be combined in a combo or any other offer.
Discover credit cards automatically double all the cash back you earn at the end of your first year. Which means... Wait. Hold up. Question for the audio engineer.
Go ahead.
Did I read that right? Discover automatically doubles all your cash back?
Yeah, that's what the script says.
So if I get a Discover card right now, I can earn twice the cash back.
Apparently. Wait! Unlimited first-year cash back match. Only from Discover. See terms and learn more at discover.com/match.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. So you ordered a new air filter for your car. You try to install it, but it doesn't fit. So you take a little bit off the sides. What, still doesn't fit? Well, you could try to sit on it. Or get it right the first time with eBay Guaranteed Fit. When you see the check, you know that part's gonna fit. Air filters, brakes, headlights, over 122 million parts. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors, let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to 4hims.com/joy. That's FORHIMS.com/JOY.
The second half of the baseball season is here, and each game means a little bit more. We're talking pennant races and wild card chases, with each pitch bringing us closer to the playoffs. The free Odyssey app lets you listen to live play-by-play of your local team. So no matter what you're up to, you'll never have to miss another game. Download the free Odyssey app today and keep baseball close by all summer long. That's AUDACY. Odyssey.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Chiefs coverage on 610 Sports Radio is brought to you by Park and Go. Book parkandgo.com.
Tackle your airport parking needs at Park and Go. Always the best service and always the best price at bookparkandgo.com. Open 24/7 and all spots are covered. Reserve your spot today at bookparkandgo.com. Park and Go, family owned and operated.
All right, just getting started here on a Wednesday. We'll continue throughout the show, obviously, talking about Chris Jones and his contract situation, the biggest news in Kansas City outside of the stadium situation, which we led the show with between Clay County and Jackson County sites. But Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes both spoke to the media and were asked about the Chris Jones situation, starting with Andy Reid.
All right. I think really the only new one on here is George. He's has some stomach issues that he's working through, and we'll get him back out there relatively quick, I think. All in all, good practice today. We did our normal Friday workout. Had to do a little bit earlier with the heat, but normal Friday workout. Good special teams period to start with, and then finishing with some heavy red zone and knocking that out, and then review on the other situations. So, anyways, with that, time's yours.
Andy, Chris Jones is suggesting on his social media accounts that maybe he's willing to sit out for a little while. I don't know if he's serious or not. But do you expect him to start the season without him at this point?
I haven't. There's been no communication, so I don't know what's going to go there. But whatever happens, happens. I mean, not there. The game goes on, right? So that's how it works. So.
You used to do the GM stuff too. I know you've said you kind of like not being a part of that. But as someone who's a head coach who's been here for as long as you have, you know Chris so well, is there a way for you to get involved with this, or you just?
No, not right now. There's not. Yeah. So they got to communicate and do their thing, and there's just been no communication. So.
Andy, when it comes to the receivers, you know it's going to be competitive there. You know, when it comes to 6 or 7 or whatever number you guys choose, just first off, how proud are you to see all that competition, but then second, how tough of the decision is for you?
Yeah, that'll be a tough decision at that spot. The guys are playing well. So we just have to see. We talked to him about special teams. It ends up being a big part of it. He might be a good receiver, but if you can't help out on special teams, you got a problem there. So that ends up being a part of the thing.
Coach, unless you've already mentioned it, what's the expectation of what you plan to do with the 1s, 2s, and 3s going into Saturday?
Yeah, so the 1s might get a little bit of time. I'm still working through that. So 1s will probably get a little bit of time, and then the 2s and 3s will take it from there.
And following up on that, what's going to be your message for those players who are going to, lacking the time in the second half, just trying to make the team? What's your message for them?
Yeah, so that's a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity to get yourself on tape, and everybody can't make it here. I mean, we know that. They were told that when they first got in, but make it a tough decision for Brett and myself and the personnel guys and coaches. So, and then if you don't make it here, we're going to give you an opportunity to be on tape. We're not holding you back. So you get out there, you perform and perform well. So if you can't make it here, maybe you make it somewhere else.
The 1s, that doesn't include Patrick though, right? Or does it?
We'll see.
Hey, Andy, with the quarterback position, we talked about 6 to 7 for.
All right, we lost some of that from Andy. I think we heard the most important stuff, though. We'll hear from Mahomes in a second, but obviously, I mean, that's
he's mad.
That's about as ticked off as you'll hear Andy publicly in a press conference setting about a player that is still under contract with his team, but obviously isn't there. And Chris Jones saying, quote, "There's been no communication, so I don't know what's going to go down. Whatever happens, happens. If he's not there, the game goes on. They got to communicate and do their thing. There's just been no communication."
As probably pointed out by Mike Florio,
season.
Why say week 8? Week 8 is the accrued season marker. As in, if you show up then, you still get to be a free agent at the end of the year.
Even if he wants to sit out, he can't not show up after week 8. Like, you know what I mean?
No,
like
Andy's annoyed.
He should be, by the way.
Yes and no. I mean,
absolutely, he should be. I'm sure Chris Jones is annoyed. The Chiefs are annoyed. I'm sure both sides are annoyed. There's no communication.
Like, I get it. And the lack of communication is frustrating, where it's like, at least it could be like, hey, are you planning on coming? And he could at least tell Andy, like, nah, not till at least I get closer to this contract resolution coming in, or we're further along the way. We can talk in a week. But yeah, they've cut off communication, which is obviously a negotiating strategy, of course, on their half and kind of getting there. But and look, I've got people like someone on Twitter said, hey, are you sure it wasn't Chris who misread the situation instead of Brett Veach, where, you know, he should have understood what the market really was, because nobody has paid Aaron Donald money to anyone except for the Aaron Donald thing. It's like, and look what happened to them. I was like, well, they won a Super Bowl. They didn't, by the way, they didn't become irrelevant because they paid Aaron Donald. They became irrelevant because they traded 78 of their draft picks to go for it, won a Super Bowl as the result of going for it, which was the payoff at the end. And I guess it kind of worked. And yeah, now they're in a worse shape. Now they're in much worse shape than they are. The Chiefs are playing the long game, which is why they've always tried to be careful with these things. Yeah, but I don't think you just pay him Quinnen Williams money.
No, I mean, I still believe now, though, that if he misses, whether it's one game, 5 games, 8 games, I still think that is a much different decision than what he's done so far, and I think it would be a foolish one. Now, that's not saying that he doesn't deserve to get paid, and the Chiefs could obviously solve this by giving a contract as well. However, not only are you hurting your team by not showing up at that point, and you are under contract for this year, to me, it's foolish for your long-term future. Yeah, you still get the accrued year if you show up before week 8, but in terms of where you're at heading into next offseason, one, it would end all chance of ever signing with Kansas City. So then you become a free agent. Okay, fine. You don't think you can, at age 30, get the deal you couldn't get now? Why do you think that if you played in half the games this year and then you're a year older, why do you think in free agency next year that you're going to actually get the deal you want right now? I don't think you get the deal either way is what I'm saying. Like, I don't think the Chiefs are going to wake up. Do you think that the Chiefs on Thursday night, they play the Lions, September 7th, let's say he's not there. Hadn't signed, he's sitting at home. NBC during the broadcast is talking about Chris Jones not being there. 2 scenarios. A, the Chiefs still look great and win. B, the Chiefs' defense looks terrible. Does that swing it either way? Does Chris Jones watch it and say, damn, they're just fine without me? Does that change it? Or on the flip side, do you actually think the Chiefs will be like, man, we didn't realize how important he is? They already know how important he is. I don't think it changes. I don't think it changes anything.
They'll both, like, here's the thing, like, playing out the hypotheticals of, like, you know what happens if they just get 10 weeks into the season? They're great on defense without Chris Jones. Let me just be clear. Not going to happen. That is a 0% probability margin. They're not going to get halfway through the season and be great on defense without Chris Jones.
No, I've told you, to me, they can't win a Super Bowl without Chris Jones. However, can they be 5-2 to start the season without him?
Well, they can win games,
but not winning a Super Bowl, I don't believe. But can they? You know, they're not going to start 0-4 because Chris Jones is not playing for them. Obviously,
no, and I don't think that'd be the case either. But I think just starting 4-2 or 5-2
puts more pressure on Chris if that happens, though.
I guess, but like to me, you just are that winning percentage, and you still know that there's a difference between that or not, and so you got to get into this. I did laugh at the George Karlaftis out with stomach issues because the instant joke is, wait, Frank Clark is gone, and we still got defensive ends with stomach issues. Yeah. I thought we were clear of that.
Hopefully it's just something minor there for George Karlaftis.
2 days in a row, man. When was the last time you were out 2 days in a row? Super Bowl week?
Oh, dude, yeah, in Arizona, definitely. I still am convinced because we both had dinner at the same restaurant but ordered different things in Phoenix. I'm telling you, it was that chicken sandwich. I'm telling you, it was that chicken sandwich at that restaurant that did me in.
Chicken sandwich is a pretty safe thing to order. If you
undercook chicken, bad chicken, problem. That can really get you. Anyway, let's hear from Patrick Mahomes. He, of course, was also asked about the Chris Jones no-show.
Morning.
Hey, what do you want to get out of Saturday if you get any time at all out on the field?
Yeah, I think just keep, I call it stacking, keep progressing, keep getting better and better. I mean, obviously, you want to hit the regular season rolling, and we have a great football team. We're playing that first game, and so we did better than the first game, this last second game, and let's keep building and getting better and better and get that momentum going into the first game of the year.
You still looking for you mentioned how you haven't been hit yet. Are you still kind of anticipating wanting to get that first hit out the way, or what?
If it happens, it happens. I mean, obviously, it's kind of a good thing because, the offensive line is protecting really, really well. So it might be the regular season, hopefully. I mean, I go in with the mindset that I'm going to take a hit here or there, but the offensive line goes into the mindset that they don't want me getting touched. So it's hard to tell them to let someone through. It's not like I remember the Titans or anything like that. So I just if it happens, it happens.
Chris Jones is out there on Twitter suggesting maybe he'll skip a half a season or whatever. I don't know how serious he is, but I do know he's not here. Are you expecting to start the season without him?
No, not necessarily. I mean, I know that stuff, contract stuff, is hard to talk about because everybody wants to make money for their entire family and everything like that. But I know how much Chris loves the Chiefs. He loves being a part of this organization. And so I just try to stay out of it and just tell Chris that I love him and that whenever he does come back, he'll be welcomed with open arms. And we know that he's preparing himself so that whenever he does get back, he can be that dominant player that he always has been.
With that said, has this been going on maybe a little longer than you anticipated it would when say, camp first started?
Yeah, I don't think anyone expected him not to be here now, but that's part of the contract negotiation stuff. So, I'm not looking down on him for anything like that. He has stuff that he's trying to get done that he feels like he needs to get done right now. And so I respect his decision. And then whenever he gets back, like I said, we open him with open arms. And he's a vital part of this organization. And so I'm glad that he's on my team.
It is different from when a player is injured and not playing versus someone that's healthy that's holding out. Does that put more pressure on the offense when the season begins if he's not on that, knowing what he brings to the team?
Not necessarily. I mean, you have to trust everybody. Obviously, Chris is a once-in-a-lifetime type of player to be that big at the defensive tackle spot and being able to get sacks and do stuff like that. But you have to trust the entire defense, just like they have to trust the entire offense. Whenever I'm not in the game, they trust the guy that comes in is going to go out there and make an impact. And you've seen that with Chad over the last few years. And when in the game that Travis wasn't in a couple years ago, other guys stepped up. That's how great football teams work. Is you got to have depth everywhere, and you got to have guys that will step up whenever their number is called. And obviously, you want to have these great players like Chris, but everybody has to step up whenever their number is called.
Patrick, you've had the opportunity to go against this first-team defensive line as is for the past month. Obviously, non-contact, but what have you seen in the line as is? How's the confidence level in what they can do?
Yeah, I'm very confident. I mean, we have a lot of great players, a lot of depth, a lot of guys that are coming in and working hard. Obviously, there's some young guys like George and Felix and stuff like that, but they play hard every single play, and they get after it, and that's what you want. Obviously, it's hard to replace just Chris because Chris is, like I said, a once-in-a-lifetime type of player. But I think with groups of guys, they're doing a great job of just working hard and continuing to push to make themselves better.
Coach said there hadn't been any real contact between the organization and Chris recently to comment about, but I'm assuming some of the players text with him or talk to him. When's the last time you talked to him? What are his spirits like?
Yeah, we stay in contact with him all the time. I mean, he's in good spirits. I mean, he's a guy that he loves football. Like I said, he loves playing for the Chiefs. And so it's a hard time for all players, I think, whenever this stuff comes up. Because you want to play, you want to be out there, but at the same time, you want to take care of your family. So it's finding that right spot and where you think you need to be at that time. And so it doesn't hurt. Like I said, it doesn't hurt his relationship with any of us. I mean, we respect his decision. But at the same time, whenever he comes back, we'll welcome with open arms and know that he's going to be a pivotal teammate to help us try to make a run at the Super Bowl again.
Couple more, guys. If you do play on Saturday, it kind of marks a change of philosophy of playing in the final preseason game. Is this something you want? Do you feel like you need to get some snaps?
Yeah, I just prepare myself every week. I prepare myself to play. I get the reps in there, and then I follow Coach Reed's lead. He's done this for a long time. He knows what's needed every single year in order to go in and play well at the very beginning of the year. That's why his record is so good at the beginning of the season. And so I prepare myself to play, and if I get that call, then I'll go out there and play and try to execute at a high level. And then try to just prepare myself to be ready for that week one of the regular season.
We're going to last two, Harold and then Adam. Go ahead, Harold.
Patrick, you've got to see Shane over the years here. Now he's developing. Looks like he's in position at least to compete for a backup spot. You know, how have you just seen him develop, and how proud are you, if you will, with all the advice you've given him and all the other guys have given him to make him see him impress?
Yeah, I think just the entire QB room. I mean, we push each other to be great. We want that QB room, no matter who steps in, to be able to go out there and have success. And I think you've seen that over the years with Chad. You've seen it with Matt Moore. And now you've seen with Shane. He's getting better and better every single year. And then you've seen guys like Blaine, who's came in and learning a new system. And he's already having success early in the preseason as well. And then Chris. I mean, we try to take pride in that QB room that no matter who steps in the game, there's no drop-off and that we can all go out there and have success. So I'm proud of all those guys. But, I mean, it's Shane being here for 2 years and it's to stay grinding and preparing for his moment. And he's done great this preseason so far.
Adam?
How closely are you going to follow the cuts next week?
I mean, it's hard. I don't like to follow it too closely. I mean, I'm rooting for everybody. It's hard to sit there and you don't want to, I guess, promote for one guy to make it over another guy because this is people's livelihoods, it's people's lives. And so I let those guys, Brett Veach and Coach Reed, handle that, Clark Hunt, everybody like that. And then they do a good job of finding the best players to put in positions to go out there and have success. But I don't follow it too close. It's hard for me. I mean, I like all the guys in the locker room. It's hard to see guys, even if it's for a moment, their dreams kind of get cut right there. And so it definitely is a hard day, I think, for everybody in this league.
All right, so that was Patrick Mahomes just a little while ago talking about the Chris Jones situation, saying that he acknowledged he doesn't think anybody expected Chris Jones not to be here by now, but then went on to say this is basically the business side of the thing, and this is, this is how he tries to make sure he takes care of his family long term and acknowledge that the players are all still in contact with Chris Jones. Look, if you're Patrick Mahomes, contract-wise, if there's anybody, everybody understands why Chris Jones wants to get paid. I mean, there's no debate. Nobody's questioning his motives or anything like that. It's pretty evident why that is. But it makes it a little awkward, right? It makes it a little awkward. Not that the teammates don't like Chris Jones, but it makes it just a little awkward.
But you also want him there.
Yeah, because you know, maybe they obviously think they can win a championship even if Chris Jones were not to be there or got hurt or whatever. They're always going to believe. You have to. But they know their best chance to get back to the Super Bowl is Chris Jones being on that field. They know their best chance of being the Lions week 1 is Chris Jones being on the field. No, we all acknowledge that. Everybody recognizes that. Brett Veach, Andy Reid, everybody knows that.
I think we're all in a similar boat where, what he's saying is true in the sense that is, no, we did not expect it to last this long. There's no way Brett Veach expected it to last this long. There's no way Andy expected it to last this long. And so now things have become even more heated between Chris Jones and the organization. By the way, if they do sign an extension, if you think there's any lingering part of this, he's good.
You move on at that point.
He gets a massive chunk of money from the Chiefs. No one will care. But Andy's done with it. Andy's mad. Andy's annoyed because he wants to repeat as a Super Bowl champion. And he knows that if Chris Jones doesn't show up, that becomes significantly more challenging across the board than it was just a few moments ago. Oh, man. Well, this is starting to feel, I don't know, whatever percentage. My percentage sinks every day. Just assume that whatever I told you yesterday was my percentage chance Chris Jones signs an extension with the Chiefs. It's like a couple percentage points worse every day until the start of the season.
Yeah.
And then if it's if it's week 1, it's 0.
I've seen a lot of, Chris Jones lied to the Chiefs, said he would be at camp, not misjudged. But Chris Jones sending out a tweet in April saying he wants to be a Chief for life is not him lying to the Chiefs organization. Hello, negotiations here. Are we really basing this off of if I send out a tweet and say, man, I'm never leaving, and you're going for your personal job. I'm never leaving.
610 Sports Radio, and then you're gone.
And so you're supposed to take whatever is offered. You're supposed to not care if they're screwing you over at all or anything.
It's just not.
We sometimes take Twitter too seriously. Him saying a tweet that he wants to be a Chief for life is not now him saying, well,
he's also said it publicly, but that's just not
he lied to the team. No, it's a negotiation.
And also, that's a two-way street? I mean, anybody can say, Dustin Colquitt probably at some point in his life said, I want to be a Chief for life, but then they cut his ass. Are the Chiefs lying to him because Dustin Colquitt said he wanted to be a Chief for life? By the way, I can give you, if you'd like, just for those purposes, a million examples of Brett Veach saying, we want Chris here.
Go back to the Tyrann Mathieu stuff, too.
If you'd like those,
back to the Tyrann Mathieu situation.
The flip side of those public arguments exist. This is a regular negotiation. It has taken a, I think, ugly turn sometime in the last couple of weeks.
Clearly.
When Chris stopped showing up, maybe past a deadline that the Chiefs thought they would probably get Chris back, and now they're inching closer towards the season as it's 15 days away, and their star defensive player is one of 3 players in all of football who haven't reported to their team.
Yeah, we'll see if he makes what I think would be a foolish decision, which is actually missing NFL games in 2023. But they got 15 days and really probably about, 7 days to where he still could be effective week 1. I mean, Steve Spagnuolo yesterday acknowledged that if Chris Jones does show up, that he couldn't get all the snaps anyway, probably. We're already almost in that timeline where he can't even play all the snaps because he's missed
2 full weeks.
He's missed too much.
Which, I mean, normally his amount of snaps would be 60%. Maybe they cut him down to 50, 40. I mean, it hurts you no matter what. We're already at the point of no return, probably, at the you're going to be 100% for week 1 going into it. That's why I always told you Thursday was my deadline, tomorrow. 2 weeks. Couple of practices before you get game week, and maybe you'd be pretty much good to go by the time the thing started. But either these comments today, hearing from Reed or Mahomes, any of those give you some renewed hope?
No, that doesn't mean that
tomorrow.
Does it mean in 3 days he can't show up? Of course not. It's not saying it's a 0% chance, but based on the tone, it's not close. Yeah. It's not close at all.
I don't even know what the next step is, other than finding out if he's good. You got to make a call. By the way, the lack of communication. I'm always really curious. Still never give an answer on this. Is that you're calling Chris and he's never picking up, or you're calling Chris's agents and they're never returning a call, or is this you're also not calling? Because
my guess is
this is like a regular relationship, right? It's like Drew's like, well, Cody's not communicating with me. It's like, well, have you placed a single phone call to Cody? He's like, no. It's like, well, I got to be honest. I feel like it might be you that's not communicating as well. Like family members, when you're trying to get together for something, you're like, we should get together more. I'm like, place a call. It's not that hard.
When do you think the last time they actually talked would be? Because it seems like, they're both in some sort of a flux here where it's like, I'm mad at you, you're mad at me, and there's been a pause.
Yeah, it's probably, I mean, we can ask Nate Taylor at some point again. My guess is, a week or so ago. Because we know once camp happened, he didn't show up. Brett Veach even acknowledged that they were going to kind of take everybody maybe taking a deep breath. Okay, we're all a little upset, maybe. Take a deep breath and then revisit. So I think they clearly have talked since camp began. That seems pretty evident. But if Andy Reid is coming out and saying there's just been no communication, that means it's been a little bit.
Yeah, it's not getting better. Is pretty much what I would say about the situation now. But it's interesting. I mean, when you listen to what Andy and Pat had to say, Andy's just annoyed. Pat gets it because he's a player. Like, it's just so hard. Because as a coach, when you're Andy Reid, I'm sure there is a negotiation, but there's not much of one, you know? Your agent comes and says, I want this much. They come back with that number. There's no salary cap. And you're like, nah, this one. You're like, all right, cool. Sounds good. And he keeps all of his numbers private. I think Andy probably likes to keep his checkbook closed, right? He doesn't want people knowing about, like, nobody knows exactly what Andy makes. We just guess at what he makes. It's a lot easier when you don't have to handle these things publicly.
If you thought just yesterday with the tweet, though, that Chris Jones sent out again, which was responding to a fan, how long are you going to sit out? And he says, week 8, and he says, I can afford to. If you thought that was like the real tipping point to flip the fan base against Chris Jones, then the comments today from Andy Reid and even Mahomes, while being supportive of Chris Jones, Mahomes acknowledging that they're surprised he's not here. That's the really interesting thing for me is just how quickly things shift against a player. And this is why overall we always hear like you have old jerseys that you buy and you wear at stadiums, and we joke when we see a jersey from a player that left 5 or 10 years ago. It's like overall, like fans attach themselves to the Chiefs and Andy Reid and I guess Patrick Mahomes.
The clothing,
other than that, people do come and go, man. And right now it seems like this could be the last hurrah here for Chris Jones and KC unless they get something together in the next 15 days. Because have you changed? Do you think that if he misses a single game that they would suddenly agree to start negotiating on a deal? I think it has to get done before the season. Otherwise, he's playing on the final year. They're not doing anything mid-season.
Yeah, I don't know when he'd show up, but yeah, my guess, I would still assume that if the deal's not done by week 1, then he's not getting an extension in Kansas City.
I'm with you.
I'd be surprised.
That track record's been there. They don't negotiate in season. Time and time again. Prior to Veach as well. That's just not something they do. Most teams don't.
Yeah, I think this is it. And it sounds contentious, and I don't what they should have, like, in all the retrospect, it's like, if you knew it was going to go like this, you probably would have moved him before.
Yeah, we'll talk more about the trade
and all that stuff.
Hindsight's 20/20 for us in the media and as fans, but that's where, as I said earlier, Brett Veach, that's where he has to have a good grasp of where does he think the negotiation can go.
Sure.
You and I can be like, well, it's hindsight 20/20 for you, Cody, or me to be like, well, they should have traded him. Well, but as the front office, you should have a feel of, is that a path that this could go down? Could it drag out this long? And could this be a problem?
Think. I mean, they didn't think that whatever the price point that they were offering was going to be Chris Jones asking for significantly more.
All right, coming up next, we'll get to the 11 o'clock hour. And before we get back into the stadium discussion around what we did and didn't see in those 2 sites that the Royals put out yesterday, there's a couple teams that are taking the big leap in the NFL, and particularly in the AFC. We'll tell you who they are next.
Cody and Gold.
The facts on this show are irrelevant.
Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
Put over $100,000 back in your pocket with the Freedom Loan, exclusive at Cap One Lending. You've heard us talk about the Freedom Loan for years. Here's how it works. It pays mostly principal first, eliminating thousands in interest and taking years off your mortgage, all without changing your spending habits. Call Cap One Lending at 816-905-1111 or apply at caponelending.com. Imagine paying your mortgage off in half the time with half the interest, all with no out-of-pocket closing cost. Whether you're purchasing, refinancing, or taking cash out, call Cap One Lending now and we'll have your loan approved in an hour and ready to close in 10 days. 816-905-1111, 905-1111, or apply at caponelending.com.
Cap One Lending, making your dreams a reality is what we do.
Cap One Lending, a Kansas licensed mortgage company, license number MC0026341, NMLS Missouri license 2468614. Programs and rates subject to change without notice.
You're always better with a roof from JR.
We've all seen them. As soon as the big storm comes through, the storm-chasing roofers show up. Don't be a victim twice. Call locally owned, veteran-owned JR & Company. No one protects your home and you like JR.
JR's there for you. You're always better with a roof from JR.
In fact, JR and Company can let you know if you even need to be worried about storm damage. Online, visit jrhailcheck.com. Plug in your address and we'll pull a storm report. If there's nothing on the report, we'll give you hassle-free peace of mind. And if it looks like you got hit, we can come out and do a free inspection and help with any insurance claim. We'll never try to sell you a roof you don't need. But if you do need a new roof,
You're always better with a roof from JR.
go to jrhailcheck.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's 4hims.com/joy for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/JOY.
We're talking with Dr. David Bach, board-certified urologist at Kansas City Urology Care. What's the most important thing men should know about prostate cancer?
I would strongly recommend PSA testing. It's a simple blood test. It's inexpensive, and basically every male over 50 should be having this PSA once a year. Prostate cancer is the second leading cancer killer of men.
And why should they go to KCUC?
We not only treat more prostate cancer than anyone else in this part of the country, we also start with cutting-edge diagnostics to offer the most precise diagnoses of prostate cancer using ultrasounds and MRI. We can offer surgical, medical, and radiation types of treatments. And even for men who require additional therapies, we're able to offer all that at a single site.
Get your PSA level tested by the experts. Kansas City Urology Care. At KCUC, you see the best in KC. To make an appointment, visit appointments.kcurology.com.
You can get a new career in as little as 4 months, and our friends over at Centric can make sure you're in one.
Look, if you're thinking about a career change, you also want to make sure you're going to the right place that has the relationships that are needed. And Centric does. With over 1,500 different companies in the Kansas City area, they can help you find that job in the future. They also make sure they have the most up-to-date curriculum because of those relationships.
Classes are starting at the end of August. Alex and I love technology, so do you. Go to centric.com/610. It's that easy. Our guy, Russ Mondry, will find that new career for you.
Hey, this is Rex with KC Real Estate Buyers, and I buy houses for cash. If you own a property in the Kansas City or surrounding area and want to sell it fast and at a fair price, grab a pencil. I'm going to give you a very important phone number in 40 seconds. I'm a private real estate investor. I live right here in KC, and I can pay cash and close on your timeline, even in as little as 3 days. Here at KC Real Estate Buyers, we are improving Kansas City one house at a time. I buy inherited houses, vacant houses, foreclosure houses, behind-in-payment houses, my tenant won't pay the rent houses, and properties that need complete rehabs. Do you own a house that's trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at this number, 816-330-6000. That's 816-330-6000. Or go to rexbuyskc.com. That's rexbuyskc.com. And I look forward to working with you.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's 4hims.com/joy for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/JOY.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motor Studios. On Tuesday, August 29th, someone from 610 Sports Radio will be throwing out the first pitch before the Royals game. Find out who and come join all of us for 610 Day at the K. KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, always live on the free Odyssey app.
All right, 11 o'clock hour here on Cody and Gold. Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Drew Nixon with you. We'll get back into the Chris Jones stuff a little bit later on in the show. It's been a bulk of the first hour, obviously, talking about that in the comments from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes as we're 15 days away from the start of the season and no sign of Chris Jones showing up at Chiefs practice, Chiefs facility, anything like that. By the way, we know that some of you maybe have missed it. Drew Nixon, new producer. He needs a college fan base to root for. And he said he'll have a decision for us in the noon hour today. But I feel like we need a campaign here. I feel like if
you want people to do a lot of swam?
If you're a K-State fan, a KU fan, or an MU fan, I feel like you need to give Drew your pitch. You'll have a chance to do that around 12:15 or so. You're going to have to call in to 913-586-7610. And I feel like, Drew, you need to be pitched why you should join up with a certain fan base. And you can make your decision off of that or other factors, whatever. But, like, you haven't made up your mind yet. So I feel like we should allow some listeners, a K-State, KU, MU fan, to pitch you.
Yeah, still debating. All three still in play. So I know I said yesterday.
Oh, you haven't narrowed it down.
I said yesterday KU was off the board, but hey, if there's a
if someone's got a good pitch,
if someone's got a pitch,
okay.
So around 12:15. So if you're a fan of one of the local schools, be ready. Bring your best pitch. 913-586-7610.
Someone's going to just scare them away.
Yeah,
do I get to pitch UMKC?
You can try.
Yeah,
you can try. You can try.
They
for
don't
the
have
ruse.
a football team, so if you already have some football allegiances, problem solved there. Their basketball team has never made an NCAA tournament, but maybe this is the year, you know? I still telling you right now, vacation, if UMKC ever makes the NCAA tournament, I won't be here. I will be wherever they're playing. I'm just telling you, I'm going.
Go for it.
I'm going to where they'll be.
You're going to be stuck in like Providence, Rhode Island for a random.
Oh, it's going to be a play-in game for like the 15 or 16
That's
seed?
at least Dayton, if that's the case. Otherwise,
Never
you'll be
been to Dayton.
Otherwise, you'll be in like Providence, Rhode Island. They'll get sent them way out east.
Fine. Good. Visit a new city. Never been to Providence, Rhode Island. Probably will never go.
That's one of those, like, Providence is probably one of those, like, truly, is there any reason to ever go there other than for a sporting, like, event?
I don't know. I'm sure somebody who lives in Providence would tell you otherwise.
But, like, you don't hear, like, have you ever met anybody from Providence, Rhode Island?
Rhode Island is an incredibly small state.
That's what I'm saying. I've never met anybody from Rhode Island.
I think it'd be hard to. I mean, I've met plenty of people from, like, very big states with large populations. Rhode Island's got, like, 40 people in it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know anyone from Rhode Island. We're going to have, like, one person.
Someone will
who lives
text
in
in
Rhode
and say
Island's
they're
gonna-
from Rhode Island or something.
Mm-hmm. And actually mean it somehow.
Mm-hmm. So around 12:15, 913-586-7610. We'll call for you to call into the show, and you got to give your pitch as a representative of the three local schools for why Drew should join up. And that's the team. You're committed, right? That's the school you will back, not just for this football season. This is for the long haul.
For the long haul,
Okay.
yes, I am in.
And basketball, it's not just football, it's all of it. All right.
Yeah, I'm down.
The good and the bad.
Yeah, he's not going to choose one team for football and one team for basketball.
Don't be that guy. Don't do that.
That will not go over
No,
great.
don't be that guy. Don't be that guy at all. All right, let's talk some NFL, though, because we are getting close to the season, and the AFC in particular is going to be fascinating based on the quarterbacks, but we know there's some teams that are going to drop off. There's going to be some teams that take this big jump. ESPN was trying to predict this, by the way, and you can look at win totals and things like that, but the biggest jump, let me just get one team out of the way, and we can move on to some ones that are probably not as obvious. The clear team that, I believe in and everybody probably does to at least take a jump this year from a 7-win team, it's obviously the New York Jets, okay? They have Aaron Rodgers. Maybe you and I differ on can they win the division. I don't think you think they can, right?
I don't think they will, no.
But from a 7-win team, I think at minimum, over their win total of 9.5, I think they're at least a 10-win football team with Aaron Rodgers on that team. I think he's a game changer, absolutely, and the talent they still have at wide receiver. Dalvin Cook's now there. The defense was legit with Sauce Gardner a year ago. Maybe you don't think Robert Saleh is the right coach to take him to the promised land. That's not what we're talking about here. But one of the biggest jumps, I think it could be a 3 to 5 win jump for the Jets.
You're about to find out just how much one quarterback is different because they were this good on defense last year, and they had this many players on offense last year too. So it's like it's not a dramatically different offense. Their problem is still their offensive line stinks. And I don't, you got an aging quarterback and all these things. I would put them on my list if I was just making a list of 3 because I think it'd be foolish to not say the difference between the crew of starting quarterbacks they rolled out last year to Aaron Rodgers isn't worth at least a couple of games.
Mike White.
But I am not nearly as high on them as others across the board. The first one for me, and then we can give our other 2. The first one for me is the Rams. The NFC stinks. They got one of the better head coaches in the league. If Stafford stays healthy, that is automatically a quarterback improvement from the previous year. Their roster's not particularly good. But no one there's not that many NFC rosters that are particularly good. They're only a 5-win team last year. I'm pretty sure that the Rams, under normal circumstances, are good for 8 or 9 in the NFC. I think they do take a serious jump from where they were last year, which was the doldrums, and maybe find them way into that bottom end of the wild card round. They're not going to make noise, but we're talking about improved teams, not teams that all of a sudden are Super Bowl.
You're just basing it off of, be a little more healthy and things like that. I'm with you, Cup.
I think they're one of the better coach teams in the
And
NFC.
I think Cooper Kupp can bounce back and have a strong year. My only question with them is, I'm not convinced Matthew Stafford's starting all season. Either because of injury or otherwise. I mean, there was reports they were trying to shop him this offseason. They were hoping he kind of was going to retire, honestly. That was their hope. He got the elbow issue, but doesn't have the elbow issue. Stetson Bennett, I actually think Stetson Bennett will end up playing a game or 2 this year for the Rams, one way or the other. I do believe
He's
that.
looked good in preseason.
Don't tell Bink that, but I do think at some point.
After all of this, huh?
But yeah, Bink is a big fan of a soon-to-be 30-year-old quarterback coming out of college.
I don't think Stetson's been quite that old.
26 or something, I don't know.
He's an old
Feels like
quarterback.
he's Brandon Whedon.
Look, but McVay is the kind of coach who has had success with kind of any quarterback he's had. He got some of the better years out of Goff. He got a Super Bowl championship year out of Stafford.
Sure.
I mean,
McVay's
if
a great
Stetson
coach.
Bennett has to start for 3 games, then I still think that they're looking at improvement. They're just, to me, the NFC stinks. Choosing NFC teams in this is really a kind of can't lose situation, in fairness. But
Yeah, you're not saying playoffs. You're just saying an increase in 3 wins or something like that.
they're
I
a
can see
5-win
that.
team. I can see them getting more wins and a bigger win increase this year than the Jets.
Okay. We'll see. I wonder about McVay of not quality of coach, but like 1 foot out the door already. This past offseason, everybody thought he was going to the booth. I still think he could leave after this year as well. So we'll be curious to see if they get off to a rough start, how things continue to go for Stafford and McVay. Who's another team for you? So I got the Jets, you got the Rams. We both have the
Jets. I would say,
okay.
the Jets
You
I
got the
agree
Jets.
with.
Okay.
They would be 3rd on my list of 3. The Rams were number 2 on my list. So who's your second one?
Yeah, it's the Saints. This doesn't surprise you.
Yeah.
You know,
No.
I'll be
By the way, just very clear,
Yeah.
I'm never buying into that.
You're not surprised that's my answer,
Ever.
though.
They got the worst head coach in football.
Yeah,
bad.
I'll be putting out a video as we're getting ready for that betting show. So I'll be putting out a video later today or tomorrow about some of my favorite bets. And this is, as I've said on the show, one of my favorite bets for the entire season. Saints to win the division. So they were a 7-win team. It may only take a 2-win increase to win the division. They may only have to get to 9.
The division's really
that was the
bad.
case. If you get to 10, I think you win it. I just think with Derek Carr, they have the best quarterback in the division. The concerns at coach are valid, but then keep going through the rest of the coaches. All right, Todd Bowles, not a whole lot better, with all due respect to Todd Bowles.
He's also very
great
bad.
defensive coordinator, not a good head
Reich
coach.
is better.
Frank Reich, first year though with a rookie quarterback. I'm with overall. That's going to be the team that potentially could have a little bit of a run in that division. And then the Falcons, I don't trust Desmond Ridder. Plain and simple. I love Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, and company down there in Atlanta. Don't trust Desmond Ridder whatsoever. And in that style of offense. So I like the Saints a lot. I think they can at least get to 2 more wins. I think they're a 3-win increase. They become a 10-win team. That'll win you the NFC South.
Dennis Allen, in his illustrious NFL coaching career, has 15 total wins. Ever.
Mm-hmm.
He's just going to get 10 this year? Look, my hang-up
Vision
is Dennis
sucks.
Allen. My hang-up is Dennis Allen. There's no doubt that they have the best quarterback, the best proven quarterback. Obviously, I think that the number 2 overall pick has a chance. The number 1 overall pick has a chance to be the best quarterback by the end of this year.
Yeah, if he's not
inside of that
David Carr getting sacked every other snap.
Sure.
With that crappy O-line and Carolina throwing to Terrence Marshall and Laviska Shenault.
Yeah, but look, the Saints don't have some cavalcade of weapons. They're still throwing to Michael Thomas.
Kamara will be back after 3 games, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Kamara is their best weapon. There's no doubt, but a running back, so a much riskier person to put your weight behind.
Chris Olave's there, man. Chris Olave was incredible last year.
He's great. But I'm just saying, like, they don't have, like,
Yeah.
but that's it.
They're
They got one guy.
But that's the thing. You're acting like I'm telling you the Saints are a Super Bowl contender. That's not what I'm saying. That
Yeah,
division
I just-
sucks so much that they got an easy path for me to see them getting there.
I feel like they could win the division, but with 7 wins. I don't think that they're an improved team.
Who's
I
the
think
next
that they
one for
are.
you? What about you, Drew?
I was going to say Saints are one of mine just because of Derek Carr. Michael Thomas seems healthy. He's been hurt. It seems like the last 2 seasons been in and out, regardless of the coaching of Dennis Allen. I think one team to look for. The Lions went 9-8. I think they'll be better in terms of winning 2-3 more games. I think that's a possibility, just given the belief in that
That's
team.
the fan favorite, isn't it? That team is the fan favorite, the Detroit Lions.
What about the Steelers? As much as it pains me to say it, I feel like
Division is the issue there.
Yeah,
I
the
consider
division's
them
so
on
good.
my list.
They were, they won 9 games last year, so that's the tricky. Like, I think Kenny Pickett's going to have a really good year. Cody and I were talking about Pickett and Justin Fields and all that. I think Kenny Pickett's going to have a really good year. My issue with that, like, can they become much more than a 9-win team, though? Like, are they bumping up to 11? Probably not. But can they be a 9 or 10-win team again? Yeah. So are they improving that much? Are they going to be a pain in the you-know-what for your Cincinnati Bengals? Maybe. But they were
They always are.
they were a 9-win team last year.
How about the Jaguars? They had 9 wins
Yeah,
last year. I feel like that definitely is a team that can hop up to 11 wins, maybe even more.
Yeah,
that division
that
stinks.
A 2-win increase is important, but I think the Titans are just as likely to get 2 or 3 more wins than they did last year.
7
because
from
their whole
last year.
thing is and their whole thing is just stay healthy. Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry and Vrabel, it all works enough to get that team to 8, 9, 10 wins. Those 2 teams were vying for the division late last year. I'd be quicker to put the Titans probably on my list, and they were on my list before I would the other. Those are the ones that I kind of think of.
I would. So my
I
last
go with the
answer,
good head coaches.
Yeah.
That's I think why I veer away from guys like Vrabel.
My last answer was going to be the Colts, but I got to honestly see what happens with Jonathan Taylor because part of the formula involves Anthony Richardson developing and being a dynamic threat on the ground a little bit as a passer as the season goes on, but more so as just a threat running the ball like Justin Fields had been. And if you had Jonathan Taylor, you could see how the read option could really be effective. But right now, I don't know if Jonathan Taylor's going to actually play. I think he does, but the Colts were a 4-win team. I could see them bumping up to a 7-win team this year. Not good enough to make the postseason, but I could see them as a 7-win team. If there's no Jonathan Taylor, no chance. They have no weapons if Jonathan Taylor's not there. Their wide receiver room, oh my, we're going to talk fantasy football with Paul Charchian tomorrow.
It's not good.
Who do you think, other than Michael Pittman Jr., who is a stud, who else is in that wide receiver room?
Yeah, I don't know.
Alec Pierce, who can't stay healthy. Brashad Perryman. Mike Strachan. I don't even know how to pronounce your damn name. Jawan Winfrey and Amari Rogers. I mean, get out of here.
ESPN it was The Ringer. The Ringer put out one writer, obviously, put out his definitive rankings of the pass catchers for every team in the NFL, right? Here's the list of every NFL team and who has the best pass catchers. Chiefs were 21st. And he was admitted, he's like, look, the only reason they're this high is because Travis Kelce is on this roster and he exists. So, that's why you get to be on this. That's why you get to be 21st on this list. Otherwise, it's so unproven you wouldn't know it. The only teams he had worse than the Colts, let's see.
It's brutal. Carolina's is pretty bad, too, though, as I mentioned.
In fairness, he's got a few teams. He's got Chicago's worse, Green Bay worse, the Giants worse. The Giants are real bad. If you looked at their wide receivers, they're throwing to Darius Slayton and Isaiah Hodges.
The key for the Giants is they got Darren Waller now. I think that's a nice upgrade.
Are you guys sure though that the Jets are going to really be that much better? Because have you looked at the first 6 weeks of their? They might be 1-5 after the first 6 weeks of the season. It's possible.
It's a brutal schedule. I mean, I don't think they'll be 1-5 because if we think they actually are a decent team, like even with tough schedules, you find ways to not start 1-5.
Sure. You go 3-3.
But it is a brutal that first game, that Monday night game, Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, that Jets built the narrative setting off of one game is going to be incredible. Jets go and beat the Bills. Oh my gosh, Jets are going to the Super Bowl. If they lose and Rodgers, they look iffy. Oh, what a disaster of a situation. It's going to be way too much overreaction off of that game, but it'll be fun to see how quickly things shift. I do think they could get off to a slow start, not like 1-5. I could see them being like 2-4 out of the gate or something, and people being like, "Oh, they're
schedule."
toast.
That seems.
And then they get hot. We know they play the Chiefs week 4.
So it's Bills, Cowboys on the road, Patriots at home, Chiefs at home, at Broncos, home against Philly. I mean, that's.
Yeah. But if you're a good team, you know what I mean. Like
true.
if you're a good team,
If you're the Chiefs, you still go 4-2.
Yeah,
3-3.
We'll find out. I mean, the Hard Knocks new episode came out last night. I can't watch it.
I
watched the first episode and I'm done.
I was that texter, by the way, a couple weeks ago that said, "Hot take: Packers have more wins than the Jets."
That was you texting it before you started working here?
That was
you
me.
texted in the Packers can have more wins than the Jets. Jordan Love might surprise people. He might.
I still think the Jets make the playoffs, but I think given...
So how many wins do you think the Packers are getting? If the Jets are making the playoffs, they're like a 10-win team. You think the Packers are getting 11 wins?
NFC stinks.
Packers aren't getting 11.
No.
The defense is very good. You get 2 bell cows at running back. You have
Who
more
the hell are
wide-
they throwing to? Besides Christian Watson.
Dobbs. He was hyped last preseason. He might actually be good this year.
They also drafted the tight end out of Oregon State, who apparently has been very, very good. He runs like a 4.6 40.
They got to run through. They got to go through Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon.
100%.
I think Love could be better than people think, and the Lions I think are just very much overrated. So maybe that balances out. But the Jets, even if you think they're not as effective as I think they are, and you tell me that the Jets disappoint and will only win 9 games. That means the Packers have to win 10 for that bet to cash for you. I mean, again, I told you on the text. I didn't know that was you texting in a couple weeks ago. I told you I'd make the bet. We can lock it in. We can officially lock it in.
I guess
Make him give you odds if he does that, by the way. Their win totals are way different. Gold will never take a bet in which the odds are not at least Vegas good for himself, but it'll offer you as many bad odd bets as you want.
He texted in.
I know, but you never will take a lopsided bet. I'm just
telling you.
I'm protecting Drew.
The reason why I say that is because the Packers play the NFC South, and they also play teams like the Buccaneers. I'm sorry, not the Buccaneers are in the South. They play the Giants, who, if you think they're over, I mean, their schedule. If Jordan Love can produce just enough to be okay, they're going to win more games than they lose because of they're in the NFC and their defense is so good and they've got reliable run game and a good offensive line.
Their first 6 games are way easier.
So again, they're 9-8 then. That means the Jets have to. That means the Jets have to win 8 games for the bet to lose.
Yeah, but if he's saying he thinks there's a chance they're 1-5, that's not out of the question.
With how tough the division is, and Aaron Rodgers last year had double-digit picks for the first time.
He was hurt, man.
And I think over a decade, his worst passer rating of his career. I don't know. I think that there's the Packers' struggles last year were not just Aaron Rodgers had nobody to throw to.
Yeah, he was.
I think.
I mean, we're going to find out, right? This is what's fun about the NFL. It's like we are speculating what can happen. I think the injury was a bigger deal than people let. Everybody seems to forget that he had multiple hand injuries. That's kind of a big deal for a quarterback, and that's why I think that's why he'll bounce back. Good stuff. Fun to talk NFL. We love it. We're 15 days away from the start of the NFL season. I did want to get back into the Royal Stadium talk, though, because yesterday, the 2 sites, the renderings for Clay County, East Village, and downtown, all unveiled. We can get back into the details and timeline in the noon hour today, but I said around this time I wanted to get your guys' thoughts, 913-586-7610, on what was missing for you, because they are just renderings. Doesn't mean things can't change, but I saw a lot of, 2 or 3 things, all that was the consensus. Number 1, some people didn't think there was enough fountains. Now, there is a fountain in both, but not the whole outfield. Okay, I don't know. I mean,
dude, there's 2 things that people want in a stadium. Fountains and a crown
That was the other
scoreboard.
one. The crown vision was the bigger one for a lot of people. I don't need fountains throughout the entire outfield. Give me a fountain. I would love for them to find a way to do the crown vision, though. And if you look at the renderings that came out, it's not like there is some other big thing skyline-wise it's going to block the skyline. That doesn't really exist. The only question is the scoreboard, frankly, where the crown vision would need to be, is it taking up too much space for seating? Because right now on the renderings, the one for the Clay County, it's this huge in left field, this huge board in left field, right? And it's up and above. It's not taking any seats. So I don't know how you incorporate it, but I actually care more about the crown vision thing than having fountains throughout the entire outfield. I just need the one fountain's fine with me. I don't need to. We're not going to pick up Kauffman Stadium from the Truman Sports Complex and drop it downtown or drop it in Clay County and have the exact same stadium.
And I don't think that they should do that, but I also think you should be aiming for things that are recognizable to your city and that makes your stadium different.
Fair.
Like for the Twins, right? It's the giant neon old Twins logo shaking hands at the beginning because it's an homage to the old stadium. I think you do want to incorporate fountains, and I don't know. I would like a crown scoreboard, but I understand
that's a bigger one for me than even the
because the one that matters least to me is not calling it Kauffman. I guess I was under no delusion that whatever new stadium they would build downtown or in the North Kansas City site would hold the name Kauffman Stadium at it. And by the way, for as much as you're like, well, then I'd be offended, and it's so that they can still name, stadium naming rights. I'm like, that is correct. And we all, guess what? Guess what we all got over? GEHA. Do you call it GEHA? No. Drew, who's from out of town. Drew, have you ever heard anyone who's referring to the Chiefs Stadium in which they play as GEHA Stadium?
No, but but that's the same stadium. I mean, you would have to admit that people aren't going to call the new stadium Kauffman Stadium.
But that's why I'm confused about why people want it called Kauffman. It's not Kauffman. Like, they're going to sell the naming rights for it, and we're going to come up with some other nickname for it, either based on the stadium rights name, when they, for the longest time in Chicago, they called their stadium The Cell because of U.S. Cellular, or whatever. We're just going to come up with a new one. Yes, put a statue of Ewing and Muriel Kauffman, honor them in some way. I think they'll do that. But you can't call the new stadium this isn't like The Simpsons. It can be Kauffman 2. Kaufman the sequel, like it has to be different than Kaufman in ways. I just think the homages are nice. The crown scoreboard and the fountains.
I guess it's also important to note that there's other details that can be added. These are once they determine the
preliminary renderings.
There's nothing that says that they can't make an alteration that does include a little bit more of what you're discussing. There were two other things, or one other thing, including the name that you mentioned. The other thing that I thought we already knew, that no matter what site, it just wasn't a possibility because there's rules and you can't move the sun. And so I saw people frustrated that specifically the East Village location was not facing the skyline in Kansas City. And trust me, I would love the skyline in the background. We've seen Pittsburgh, right? Unfortunately, it's just not possible. You can't have the stadium facing into the sun for what I thought were obvious reasons.
Just
it's kind of tough on Vinny Pasquantino to be in the batter's box with the sun right in his eyes. A little tough.
We like our friends over at KSHB sometimes. It just said, why doesn't the field for this? The guy Populous explains the decisions. Like, sun is bright. You don't need to read the article.
Spoiler, the sun sets in the west. It turns out the sun does set in the west.
And it just so turns out that the site that they chose faces west, which if you were to face the buildings, which means it's not going to face that way.
And look, trust me, the skyline would have been incredible in the background, but not going to happen.
I thought some of the stuff that I realized, like in your job or not, you're just like, oh, was I just blind because I didn't realize I'm just too close to it? I hear it more than other people. I thought we knew for years that any time or any possibility of a downtown stadium, it was never going to face towards downtown. I thought we just knew that because there wasn't enough room. Drew had asked earlier before the show. He had said, well, why didn't they just put it on the other side? Like, why not on the other side of downtown? That's not where the property is. Like, that's silly, but that's just not where the land is available for these sites.
Right. Someone said the West Bottoms. It's for a variety of reasons that wouldn't make sense. Also, you wouldn't be able to see the skyline from there either.
It's kind of low.
You're too low.
I mean, I imagine you'd be able to see some of the skyline. It's also a little further from downtown.
Like even
it's
further
also
than the
not,
North KC side, yeah.
Well, it's also not technically downtown. It's like its own separate area, kind of close to downtown. But where you talk about like where the big tall buildings are, right?
Right.
It would be like 8 minutes from the West Bottoms or 7 minutes from the West Bottoms to the big tall buildings. If you go to North Kansas City, it's like 12 minutes to the big tall buildings. It's not, and we don't have some it's not, love our city. It's not the New York skyline. It's okay if it faces a different part of downtown.
You see the latest kind of controversy or thing to watch over the next couple of years is there's talk of getting rid of downtown Wheeler because the FAA won't let you build certain high rises because it causes issues with flight path.
Oh.
So if you want taller buildings downtown, the Wheeler Airport may have to not exist anymore.
Well, I'll be honest. That impacts me.
You and I fly in.
Zero.
Cody and I fly in it all the time with our private jets. So and we park them there. We need to park our private jet.
I've flown out of Charles B. Wheeler exactly one time in my entire life.
I've gone to an air show there once.
And I have delivered packages when I was a courier there a few times. That is the end of. And I once served Charles B. Wheeler far too many makers marks, like him, the actual person, at a bar that I was serving at once. End of list. That's my experience with Charles B. Wheeler, the man, and the airport.
Is there anything that they can do to the stadium to maybe incentivize people to come outside of like promotions and those things? Like for some reason, I'm just thinking like you put like you build it's the Royals, you build a throne in the middle of like out in the center field wall, and then you get. Well, there's like a contest where people can sit there or something like that. I mean,
I think the idea of how do you get more people to the ballpark for both these sites is that you're going to have restaurants and other things around it, right? So it becomes a destination away from just the baseball product, right?
Yeah,
you're going. It's a 7:00 game, but you're out there at 3 PM because you're hanging out in the green space at the North KC location, let's say. and you're hanging out there, and there's restaurants, and you're doing some drinking before the game. You go to the game. After the game, you hang out because there's a performing arts venue that holds 4,000, and there's a concert there outside the stadium. Yeah. That's the idea. Oh, it's wintertime. Yeah, the Royals aren't playing, but there's something else. There's a cool bar that's down there. There's a cool restaurant. Or maybe you live down there because you have an apartment. Or you work down there because there's a commercial.
Are you going to move down there? You going to get a place at the downtown Royals apartments?
Going to need a raise first. Going to need a raise.
What do you think it's going to run? What's your ballpark for what? Rent in one of the one-bedroom apartments right behind Kaufman and Bailey.
So my guess is there will have to be some affordable housing options for people, but other than
nice. Yes. Let's just say for you though, not.
Yeah, I know. I was just In general, my guess is it'll be like 1 light, 2 light, 3 light pricing.
What's that, like $3-4 grand a month? What's the run?
I think the cheapest is $1,900 a month. I think.
Well, you can get it for
don't quote me.
I mean, just $1,900 a month, practically.
Yeah, but the square footage is
for a box. Yeah,
I was gonna say the square footage is probably like 550 square feet or something for that price.
Box, yeah.
I don't know. Let's see. 2 light luxury apartment.
You're looking it up. I'll let you do that during the break. You come back, let me know. Up next, we'll get back to Chiefs football. The Chiefs for a half hour. We'll get to that. 2 players that used to be on the Chiefs, and what's going on this offseason and preseason actually tells us a lot about Steve Spagnuolo. We'll get to that next.
There's Kelsey to the end zone.
Cody and Gold brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Don't miss the Chiefs Red Half Hour every day at 11:30 on your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
When you have asphalt and concrete needs, there's only one company in Kansas City you need to call. That's Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Look, they're one contractor, all things parking lot. It doesn't matter which things you need. Asphalt paving services, those maintenance solutions, or even major concrete work. Gann Asphalt and Concrete can take care of it for you. Go to their website for yourself and take a look, GANNasphalt.com, or give them a call, 816-354-1214.
Hurry in now for NFM's clearance sale. These amazing deals are first come, first served. Closeout, open box, and floor sample selections are updated daily. Don't miss taking up to 80% off suggested retail on furniture. Browse NFM's rock bottom costs on flooring and save up to 60% off suggested retail on appliances and electronics. Shop markdowns on appliances, electronics, furniture, and flooring only at the in-store clearance centers. It's first come, first served at clearance prices right now at NFM.
Hey guys, Beat Up here from Fesco in the Morning, wrapping up week number 12 of the Slim for Life program. Guess what? Down 62 pounds. That's right. And I feel absolutely amazing. The best part about it is when I go into the 119th and Metcalf location and see Leanne and Jennifer, I'm seeing all the 610 listeners that are signing up and jumping on this journey along with me. What are you waiting for? You got that extra 10, 20, 30 pounds that you need to get rid of, or you, like me, need to get rid of almost 200 pounds. Well, it's time to make that life-changing call like I did. Go ahead and set up that free consultation. Call my girl Leanne at the 119th and Metcalf location. And when you let them know that you heard it from B-Dub and 610 Sports Radio, you can get 6 weeks for only $66. And when you schedule that consultation, you can win tickets to see our favorite Super Bowl champions play on September 7th. What are you waiting for? Are you ready to be slim for life? All you need to do is call 833-SLIM today. That's 833-754-6863. Join the other 100,000 clients in Kansas City that said, I did it. I'm slim for life. So make that call or hit them online at slim4life.com. All services included, exclusive of products. Tell them B-Dub sent you.
Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action than now. The app is so easy to use, and there's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and so much more. So visit FanDuel.com/610Bob and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL and of 610 Sports Radio. 21 and present in Kansas. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Hey, are your old windows letting all that good air conditioning out? Well, on those hot summer days, that cool air is escaping through your old leaky leaky windows and the hot air is pouring in. You want to replace those old windows and keep the cool air inside your house this summer. We still got some time in the summer. You also need to prepare for the winter when the opposite is going to happen. That's why I'm here telling you about Window World, the official window of the Kansas City Chiefs. Window World's windows are one of 2 windows with a Good Housekeeping seal of approval, ranked number 1 in number of windows sold in the country by Qualified Remodeler magazine. Just over 20 years in business, they have improved the look and thermal efficiency over 52,000 homes in Kansas City. You get a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor, because Window World uses a double-strength glass that gives it a strength that is not commonly used in replacement windows. Right now, they're offering 18 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. All you need to do is call them for a free home estimate. Replace your windows and keep the cool air inside your house this summer with Window World.
School is starting and so is football. Make it easy with Old Shawnee Pizza and their Wednesday special. Buy any medium 1-topping pizza and get the second medium half price. Go to ShawneePizza.com to order for pickup, delivery, or eat in. Old Shawnee Pizza, 3 locations.
Join us Friday, September 8th for the Power of Work Awards, brought to you by Goodwill, helping us empower people to discover their potential through the power of work. Your support helps erase barriers while providing resources, education, and training to those most in need. Make sure you text POWA to 53555 for your chance to win great prizes.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right. Get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's 4hims.com/joy for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/JOY.
Hold up, you're using Swiffer Power Mop? What would Mom say?
Oh, she'd be like, a mopping bucket is the only way to deep clean your floors. And I'd be like, Mom, this is the new Swiffer Power Mop, the all-in-one that gets you a mop and bucket clean in half the time.
She'd never believe you.
I'd say, look, the solution's built right in, so no heavy bucket. And the pad has hundreds of scrubbing strips to get into grout lines. That's why you're the smart one.
Really?
What? Mom said it.
The new Swiffer Power Mop. Don't mop harder, mop smarter.
Ruthie, our last summer barbecue is this weekend, and it has to be epic.
Well, Total Wine has this new Reposado that'll rock your barbecue.
Wow! And at that low price, it'll be great for my first fall barbecue.
Love what you find at Total Wine and More.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Sunny, dangerously hot with a high of 101.
Weather brought to you by Express Employment Professionals. With nearly 20,000 job openings, Express Employment Professionals can help you find the right job, and Express never charges you a fee to find a job. Visit expresspros.com today.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric. Technicians you can trust with your house keys.
Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric. The technicians you can trust with your house keys for over 70 years. Receive 0% financing plus 12-year parts and labor warranty on a new cooling and heating system. Call 268-4669, Kansas or Missouri, or book online now at anthonyphce.com.
Chiefs Kingdom. This is Mitch Holtis, and welcome into the Chiefs Red Half Hour on Cody and Gold. Every day at 11:30 on your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
Chiefs Red Half Hour brought to you by Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. A reminder, coming up at 12:15, your pitch to Drew, our new producer, on which college fan base he should join. He's going to make a decision. You're going to have to call in and represent your college. Someone said, what about Nebraska? You know what? We'll let you represent anybody you want. Couple schools. Mainly KU, K-State, and Missouri.
Nebraska? We're opening the door there?
Drew,
that's not a local. They left the Big 12.
Yeah. KU, K-State, and Missouri.
Big 10 school.
I will say, Drew, also, unless you want to roll back to like what it was like in 1995, stay away from Nebraska.
Drew wasn't alive in 1995.
98.
I was born in 95.
Okay.
So
barely alive.
But you got to make a pitch. We'll let you call in. One person representing KU, one person representing K-State, one Missouri, and it sounds like Cody doesn't want us to have anybody representing Nebraska, and I get why. And that'll happen at 12:15 today.
Also, honest to God, what's the sales pitch? hey, man, we haven't been good in 30 years.
We have sellouts constantly because we bought a bunch of tickets every year, even though we didn't have people actually buying them.
I almost could pitch myself all 3 schools, but I want to hear other people. There's somebody who's already reached out on
The
Twitter.
color scheme's good, I guess. Eric Crouch won a Heisman 30 years ago. Does that move
fun,
the needle for you?
The uniforms are nice.
It's a fun game day atmosphere.
Uniforms are nice. That's a good selling point. Like for K-State, I like those lavender uniforms. I think it's a good look.
Yeah.
I think it's a sharp look. You know, if you think that you might be able to pull off those colors, it's kind of important.
Picture myself wearing try on a hat for each school. I don't know about this one.
So that's happening in a little bit.
You want to look good.
On 12:15 today. Get your pitch ready for Drew. All right, let's talk some Chiefs football. 2 players that are not on the team right now. One that maybe could still join, but that's a little complicated with the contract situation with Chris Jones.
Yeah.
But Frank Clark, we know, went to Denver, went to a rival. He was running in the second preseason game with the third stringers, in the fourth quarter. A guy that signed a deal that could be worth over $4 or $5 million, I believe. Running with the third stringers in the fourth quarter. Carlos Dunlap's still a free agent right now. We've always assumed he's just waiting for the Chiefs, but at some point, he's got to take care of himself. He's 15 days away from the season.
And he hasn't even made it onto an NFL roster. He signed sooner than this last year, and he signed pretty late.
But those 2 guys were key pieces to the Super Bowl run.
They were 2 of the 3 most used defensive linemen for the Chiefs last season. So when I was looking at that, I'm like, okay, wow, these were 2 of the 3 most important players for the Chiefs on the defensive line from a rotation standpoint last year. Only Chris Jones played more snaps than those 2 guys. I thought, what the hell does this tell me? Because that's what I was trying to decide. And what I've decided is that it's good news all around. Okay. Because what it tells us is, 1, Spags can kind of make it work with a lot of different defensive linemen if those were 2 of his most important ones last year. And that there actually is very significant chance of improvement from the defensive line play this year. Because you might be telling yourself right now, look, this hinges on Chris Jones being here, so let's just assume for the sake of this argument, Chris Jones is a member of this team week 1. But it doesn't take much to accrue. These are 2 guys who aren't getting in the league right now. Right now, Dunlap doesn't have a job. Nobody in the NFL is banging down the door to try to get this guy to play, and he played the 3rd most snaps for you. And in Frank Clark's case, his could be explained away as a guy who had a pretty sweet setup here in Kansas City. They let him get away with a lot because they knew what playoff Frank meant. They knew Week 11 Frank mattered way more than Week 2 Frank.
A point.
And Sean Payton's not trying to let some veteran walk in here and walk all over him in day 1. His might be that. Not that he can't play, but that Sean Payton's trying to make a point that he's got to be out there every single day and every single snap to matter, which is objectively not true. I think more than anything, this speaks highly of Spags. That there are 2 players in the league right now that barely matter for the current teams that they're on. Those were important players for you last year in a Super Bowl winning year. Makes me feel like I'm less worried about the defensive line depth.
Spags, time and time again, has shown he can adapt. I mean, we have seen that. With
head coach questions, coordinator no.
With I think is he the only coordinator that's won a Super Bowl with 2 different teams as a defensive coordinator? He's one of
Phillips
one of 3.
Probably had to
one of 3. He's very rare company that have been with 2 different teams and won Super Bowls as a coordinator. You can check how many it is, but I know he certainly is part of that group that has done that. And it's a credit to Joe Colin also, who came in as a defensive line coach last season. I don't think it means that they're going to be better off though. Maybe it makes you feel better that they can develop Felix Anudike-Uzomah quicker. But I don't know how you can tell me right this second that losing Frank and Dunlap, and then right now, currently as things stand,
I take it back. No, he's the only guy to win as a coordinator of 2 different teams.
Okay, there you go. I thought I saw that stat during the broadcast, but maybe they develop Felix, but I don't believe you can tell me that Carlos Dunlap, who has been one of the best defenders at batting down passes, him not being on the team, you can't tell. Like right now, the minute he was out for 6 weeks too. Like you can't tell me that they're better positioned. I still think there's an outside chance Carlos Dunlap does show up, especially now with they can restructure somebody else to make it work if they have to. Especially if they actually really do believe Chris Jones is going to start missing time. I think they almost have to bring in somebody.
I'm not saying that they shouldn't still look for some kind of depth, but don't you feel better just knowing that, like, anytime players leave, like, to me, this is always like the Dan Sorensen thing. It makes it frustrating at times, too, because you're like, nobody else in the league respects these players, and you're making them work. Okay, kudos. Sure. But then it's also like, let's identify some better talent. Because there's been a lot of players in the Steve Spagnuolo era who have left and accomplished nothing. Not all, right? Charvarius Ward left and was a very good defender for one of the best defenses in the NFL last year. But there's been plenty of players like Dan Sorensen hooked on with another team and barely played. We found out that the rest of the league did not value Tyrann Mathieu the way the Chiefs value Tyrann Mathieu. This might be a conversation we're having with L'Jarius Sneed at the end of this year.
Well, he's more valuable to the Chiefs than other teams. But the Tyrann Mathieu, a couple of those guys you mentioned, though, Tyrann Mathieu lost a step his last year, and he's at the end. You know, he looks like he's trending towards the end of his career.
But they don't all just like lose a step the second they leave Kansas City. Some of these guys were losing their ability while they were here.
Yeah,
you know?
And people noticed it with Tyrann Mathieu in his last year a little bit. I get what you're saying. I mean, am I confident that he can develop Felix and others? Sure. My only thing is they lost Dunlap and Frank Clark, and they signed Charles Omenihu, and they drafted Felix and Udike Uzama. Felix is slowly progressing, and Omenihu's out for the first 6 weeks.
I know.
Potentially Chris Jones is out for multiple weeks. We don't know. I know. It's hypothetical. We're saying he's going to be there week 1. But think about that. If I tell you that week 1 against the Lions, it's Karlaftis, it's Daniel Wise and Derek Nottie and Malik Herring and Turk Wharton. And then Felix working in.
I would tell Pat to probably prep for scoring.
40 points, baby. Let's go.
I was going to say 35. You know, I was an optimist.
And by the way, they can do that. So,
no, I mean, of course they can.
That Lions defense was trash last year.
It is. I mean, it was good at sacking the quarterback.
Yeah, well, this gets into the conversation we had yesterday about the Chiefs' offensive line. Feeling great about that.
Yeah, they might have to outscore some teams if Chris Jones misses some time, but they are just as positioned. Like, to me, it's like, especially once they get past week 6 and Omenihu's back, because you and I both know they get to do the like football shape run up at least a little bit. Yep. They get to return to practice 2 weeks before whatever this stuff and come back. By the time we get to week 8 or 9, I don't see any reason why this offensive line can't be better than last year's. Should be better than last year's, especially when you start looking around the league.
You mean defensive line or offensive line?
Defensive line.
Okay.
Offensive line, I mean, they were top 3 offensive line in the league last year, so I would settle for the same.
That's what I thought. Yeah, okay. That makes sense then.
I would settle for the same, but you know how that goes.
How do the Chiefs fit into this stadium stuff? We talked throughout the show already about the 2 sites that were unveiled yesterday, and I think where the Chiefs come in is pretty obvious. It's the timing aspect of this. We can mention what we like in the renderings and everything that we want, but the timing is still to be determined. Yeah, the Royals want their new stadium by opening day 2028, but the timing of the ballot and all that, I think it's all predicated on the Chiefs now. I think it's pretty clear. Brooke Sherman was speaking yesterday, and he continued to say that they're not breaking their lease with Jackson County. He was asked twice a follow-up, like, how can you, if you choose Clay County...
And you're going to be there in 2028, how are you not breaking
your lease? Your lease is to 2031 or whatever. How can you not do that? And they were very quick to point, they're not calling it breaking the lease. It's a negotiation. Part of that negotiation is the Chiefs. We all know where they come into play. We know the Chiefs would like to either renovate Arrowhead and do something else with the Kauffman site or build on the Kauffman site in some way, whatever it may be. That's how they get out of the lease without breaking the lease. So the Chiefs have a huge role in what can happen with the timeline as well with this project. Because if the Chiefs need to wait to get their stuff together, that changes potentially what happens on an April ballot in Jackson County. If the Royals want Jackson County, by the way. We know the best way to pass it is to tie the Chiefs to it.
Well, we assume that the extension of the sales tax is what the Royals will go for the Jackson County side, and the Chiefs will be like, yeah, that sounds good. We'll take our half. Which is funny to me because they haven't had to ask for it yet. I still think that they've gotten to lay in the weeds so bad in this.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's kind of honestly, I don't think it's really good. Like, I don't think they're being a very good, like, neighbor at the moment. For 2 teams who want the same thing, all the money and the sites that they want, the Chiefs aren't exactly doing any lifting in this situation at all. The Chiefs are really important because the Chiefs are going to have to be part of what convinces Jackson County to just let this go. If they move to Clay County, the Chiefs are going to have to sit in this meeting with them and be like, screw them. We'll take care of you. Don't you worry about them. Also, that 3/8 cents tax, we'll take all of it if you don't mind. I mean, if it's fine with you, we'll just take the whole percentage of that. Or they'll convince them that, like, the money you used to have to give the Royals for that 3/8 cents, you don't have to give that to them anymore over the next 2 years while they're not in this county anymore. And we'll work out a different sales tax percentage. They are very important for this site stuff. I guess what I'm curious about them is what is their timeline? To me, they are clearly a year or 2 or 3 behind whatever the Royals' plans
World Cup
are.
factors in here.
Because I think that actually puts them behind.
That's what I'm saying.
Because they've got to do all these renovations and sort themselves out at 2026. Then they got to solve their problems.
That's why they're not as big of a hurry. That's why the Chiefs are more likely to, hey, if we have to push this thing up to 2029, the Chiefs probably aren't totally against that.
No, they might end up
to
being
be
there
2023
or 33 or 40, 34. It doesn't matter. They're going to have to extend it no matter what, which is why it's weird that they have been so quiet about it. Because in the end, an extension of the sales tax, if they stay in Jackson County, involves the Chiefs, and they will have to get their toe in the water at some point. But if they go to Clay County, then the Chiefs can really drag their feet. And they might prefer it that way. People don't like hearing this because they're always like, the Royals are being disingenuous and they're threatening to go to Clay County. Just so you know, if the Royals go to Clay County, if it goes down that way, the Chiefs will then have Jackson County over a barrel. And if you don't think they will take advantage of that, you are wrong.
Right. Well, they also, to me, already have the state in that position because the Rams already left the state of Missouri, and I don't see any scenario where the state of Missouri is willing to lose another NFL team and let Kansas potentially get involved. And so, to me, Missouri will be more than willing to take care of them. The Chiefs will be in a great spot financially for what they want to do. Not only is it a winning team right now, and so they're not dealing with the same PR mess like, hey, put a good product on the field. That's what we hear all the time about the Royals and the project, which is fair, by the way. But the Chiefs don't have to worry about that aspect of it. Theirs is just once the Royals figure out for sure which site they want, then the Chiefs can start digging in. And you know my opinion on the options for the Chiefs. I prefer not renovating Arrowhead based off of the cost, and the stadium by the time renovations are done will be almost 60 years old. And I don't think it's smart to use public money for a 50-plus-year-old building that also wouldn't bring in anything new versus a new stadium that the price tag is much greater, but you won't be limited to just football and a random Taylor Swift concert. You can have in a new stadium potentially a retractable roof that brings in the Final Four. I don't want the roof closed for games before people freak out. That's not what I'm saying.
Are you sad that neither Royals one had a
I don't need
roof?
it for a baseball. I don't need it for a baseball. No.
I don't want it for a baseball. Let me be very clear.
Retractable roof for that.
It's in summer.
I don't need that.
Like it's
the Astros have to have it because they have what we just had all the time. What we're having right now, this ridiculous humidity. That's what they have more often than not in the summertime. So they have to have the roof.
I always feel bad for someone like Drew who moves to this city and he's like, "Is this what summer's like here all the time? Is it just miserable and oppressively hot?"
This is terrible stuff.
This is not common, Drew. Our city is usually much more temperate than this.
Is August normally the hottest month for you guys?
July or August, yeah.
Because August always seemed to be that way in Indy. August was always hotter than July was. It's it's just hot.
September is the time where you run into a 90-degree day and a 58-degree day. September's where you really start running the risk of, hard to say, not totally sure what kind of weather you're going to get today, but we'll see.
Off topic from Chiefs, but in relation to this very conversation, you saw that Kansas City Public Schools is not having their either early exit and stuff like that. How come we don't do what a lot of places in the country do? Just start school after Labor Day and go up until Memorial Day.
I don't know what time school starts other times in the country. Is that
sometimes it does. It goes into the first month of June or something. You could start after Labor Day and be done right into Memorial Day weekend.
That was the way that we were in high school. We transitioned. We'd be out the first week of June, but we get more breaks in between, and the Christmas break is longer, and there's a way to factor it all in.
First week of June, though.
Yeah, but it solves some of this issue with you have kids that are dealing with schools with no AC, which is ridiculous and brutal.
Well, that part just sucks. Let's just get some AC.
I think it would save some money by waiting until September as well.
It might, depending on it.
That's my idea. I don't know why it hasn't happened.
I don't know. I don't really care. They just tell me what the first day of school is, and I'm like, yeah, okay, sounds good.
I just think it would alleviate some of the issues. Just start after Labor Day.
I mean, I guess.
That way you get all of August. August is still summer. Now you start August 10th or 15th. Summer is over pretty quick.
I feel like if I were a kid, I'd rather have June than August.
Really?
If you're making me trade the first 2 weeks of June or the last 2 weeks of August.
Well, I don't think you have to go in 2 weeks into June.
Give me June.
I don't know if you have to go 2 weeks into June. Remember, school gets over, May 15th, May 20th?
I would take June over August.
The way that we worked when I was in high school, we would start second or third week of August, but our Thanksgiving break was a full week. Fall break was a full week. Christmas, we had an extra week off. Spring break was a whole week. Everything was extended a little bit, and it spaced it out. We started a little bit earlier, got done later, but there were some nice pauses in there.
Some schools just go full, year round.
That
would be terrible.
That'd be brutal.
You know why we feel that way? It's because we're a kid, and it's like, summer? You're just going to take away my summer?
Is it Independence that's talking about or already doing the 4-day, which is
they were
brutal for
talking
kids with daycare? I don't know how parents can deal with that.
I don't know. At least now, like, honestly, if let's say my district switched to that in a couple of years, you know what would happen? My kids would be out here in the bullpen with a coloring book half the time. More people would just have to drag their kids to work. And I'm lucky enough. My kids could probably.
That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of employers that aren't going to allow that,
Don't say anything.
A lot of employers won't allow that, though.
Well, there's a lot more work from home jobs. It's not easy. It sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks.
But that's because of teacher shortages and stuff. That's why they're talking about it.
Yeah, you can't even and they got limited space for people who just need aftercare. Like if you need what our school district calls adventure club, you can't do it all the time.
Text line says Independence started the 4-day week this year. Okay.
Oh God, so it's already in
I knew it was
effect?
talked about. I didn't know it actually happened.
I don't know what you do. I don't know what you do if you're a parent. You know what? You go back to the 90s.
There's a lot of issues.
They become like how I was a kid. They're latchkey kids. You give them a key to the house, you tell them to go home, and then they play on their iPad.
There's a lot of issues with the daycare aspect, but also there's a lot of kids that rely on free lunches at school, and now you're taking away a day of free lunch if you go to 4. I mean, there's
if you're getting into real things, yes.
Yeah, sorry, we went a little serious.
If you're getting into real socioeconomic things, yes, it's a massive problem for the kids who can't eat. But I would hope that they would put in programs for that, similar as they do for the summer for the kids who have food insecurity in their house. I can't believe we're getting to this in the Chiefs Red Half Hour.
We were talking
food
insecurity, summertime.
Weather, summertime.
We covered everything, baby.
My kid just had her first day of school yesterday.
There you go.
She, as kids do, seemed like it was fine. Didn't really break it down for you one way or the other. Just said it was okay. She saw some of her friends. She seemed in good spirits. That was kind of the end of it.
There you go.
I did already have to make a request to a teacher about something, so.
Oh, are you that parent?
No, I'm not that parent. I would like to establish now I'm not. There could be a potential problem. I alerted the teacher of that potential problem, requested a change based on that possible issue, and it was granted.
This is something, though, that didn't just come up. I mean, this is something that spanned over the...
Yeah, but
is it literally something that
know,
came up day one and you already got an issue with it?
Well, before day one, technically, is when I brought it up. But,
okay.
It was an issue with another child that I wanted known. Got to make sure. Got to make sure they know. I really try not to be that parent because the reason why they don't tell you your kid's teacher until 35 seconds before the school year starts is because they don't want people, I guess like me, bothering every teacher about every little possible
I'm
shift.
disappointed to hear this.
Dude, it was a bullying situation.
Okay.
I'm not going to let some kid bully my kid.
Well, nor should you, but okay.
And I don't want to have to fight a kid because they're picking on my kid. I don't want to have to do that, I don't want it to come to that.
Poor teacher.
She's only a second-year teacher, too, so she's brand new to it.
And
she's just now experiencing this
15
for the
other
first time.
parents just like you.
Someone says, I'll reach out and confirm it. Cody is that parent. Everyone else seems to think like I'm back. Try really hard not to be, but, sometimes you just got to step in.
All right.
I also got asked to coach my kid's soccer team and passed.
Well, that's smart. That's a smart decision.
Great idea. That's very good.
Everyone's like, don't do that. Really?
Yeah, that's
I shouldn't want to coach my kid?
Yeah.
I just thought the idea of trying to corral 10 5-year-olds together was not going to be fun for me. And what they offer, because they're like, same thing as teachers, don't have enough coaches. And what they offered in exchange, I thought was not enough, if I'm being honest.
Oh, you're holding out? Chris Jones?
Look, they offered, this is the deal they offered. They said, all right, hey, we're looking for coaches. Would anybody be interested in coaching this team? Here's all the kids, right? Would anybody be interested in coaching this team? And I'm just looking at this thing and I'm like, gosh, I coach my kid's soccer team. All they offered in exchange was half off of what I would have to pay to get my kid in this game. I'm like, excuse me?
You just want the free registration.
Anybody else who coached would be paid a figure. More than half of what this registration is. If I'm coaching these kids, my kid should be free.
I kind of agree with that.
That
I don't think you need to be getting paid, but I think your kid's registration should be free if you're going to coach the kids' team. I think that's fair. I think that's more than fair.
They only offered half.
So you said no?
No, I said no.
Okay.
Somebody else volunteered.
There you go.
That guy will find out, that guy or gal, see if they like it, but wasn't me. Somebody else volunteered after I passed.
Calling up teachers,
just
turning
for
down
one thing. I sent a very polite email.
I bet it was. All right, coming up next, we will get to what's trending and back into where things stand with Chris Jones. You want to hear what Andy Reid had to say about the current situation.
Cody and Gold on 610 Sports Radio, brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
Dispatch, this is Mindy at Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling.
Coming to terms with a dying AC unit is tough. If you need to replace your AC, visit missionphc.com to schedule your free estimate. Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. License 202909. Terms and conditions apply.
Tailgates in turkey? Yes, please. This season, score a touchdown with U.S. soy-fed turkey. Versatile, tasty, and truly different, turkey can be used for succulent sliders, killer kebabs, championship chili, or even brilliant burnt ends. You can get all the recipes and register for a chance to win the ultimate prize pack worth nearly $2,000, including a portable Traeger grill, Yeti cooler, Chiefs gear, and much more at tailgatewithturkey.com. You'll be the pride of the parking lot. Come on, KC, turn up your tailgate at tailgatewithturkey.com.
Luke Combs here, and I have an exclusive opportunity for you to win $500,000 with the Living Lucky with Luke Combs lottery experience. Join me in Nashville for a private concert at the iconic Ryman Auditorium. One lucky winner will win $500,000 at the end of the show. Y'all feeling lucky? Enter today.
Enter your Living Lucky with Luke Combs Scratchers tickets at MoLottery.com for a chance to win a private concert experience and a chance at $500,000. Play it forward with the Missouri Lottery and play responsibly.
Ready to watch the big game? Every big game? Bogey's Windy City Pub has all the games, plus a made-from-scratch menu, low happy hour prices, weekend brunch, and more. Bogey's, your neighborhood restaurant and sports bar. South Leawood, BogiesWindyCityPub.com.
What makes for a great vacation? Depends on who you ask. Are you looking to get away or bring everyone together? Do you want to get outside and play or see a play at the plate? Fortunately, however you operate, I'm the destination you've been looking for. The name's Missouri, but you can call me Mo. And I have just one question. What's your MO? Come see me at visitmo.com.
Hey, this is Rex with KC Real Estate Buyers, and I buy houses for cash. If you own a property in the Kansas City or surrounding area and want to sell it fast and at a fair price, grab a pencil. I'm going to give you a very important phone number in 40 seconds. I'm a private real estate investor. I live right here in KC, and I can pay cash and close on your timeline, even in as little as 3 days. Here at KC Real Estate Buyers, we are improving Kansas City one house at a time. I buy inherited houses, vacant houses, foreclosure houses, behind-in-payment houses, my tenant won't pay the rent houses, and properties that need complete rehabs. Do you own a house that's trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at this number, 816-330-6000. That's 816-330-6000. Or go to rexbuyskc.com. That's rexbuyskc.com. And I look forward to working with you.
Jim Gaffigan here with some more Straight Talk. Let's take a moment to appreciate our sweet children, loving grandparents, and eternal soulmates. Now let's use them to save money on wireless. Because with the Straight Talk Silver Plan, you get 4 lines for just $25 a month with unlimited data and no contracts. So add those human loved ones, and save money. Thanks, kids. They're finally worth it. Straight Talk Wireless, available at Walmart.
Get 4 lines on Silver Unlimited for $25 per line per month, plus taxes and fees. For data management practices and additional terms, visit straighttalk.com.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
Of course I use Mr. Clean Magic Eraser to clean tough messes off my stovetop and bathtub. But then I discovered I can also use it to easily clean my patio furniture and even my shoes. I'm hooked.
And when wipes won't cut it, I use Magic Eraser Sheets. They're thin and flexible erasers, perfect for everyday messes, like gunk on my counters and sinks. They really are magical.
The reviews are in. Mr. Clean Magic Eraser and Sheets make cleaning look easy.
Visit jrhailcheck.com to find out when storms last pounded your roof. You have a limited time to file a claim.
You're always better with a roof from JR.
Go to jrhailcheck.com.
Staples has big savings on everything for back to school or stocking up the office. Save on tech for the classroom or your business with up to $250 off select computers. And save on signs, banners, and posters from Staples Print and Marketing Services. Plus, right now at Staples, you can save even more with $50 off your print order of $150 or more. Get everything for the office and the classroom for less at Staples. Print offer ends 8/26. Visit staples.com/print for details. Tech offer ends 9/16. In-store only. See associate for details.
Missing your NFL team's out-of-market games? Not a great plan. A much better plan? Switch to My Plan from Verizon and get NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV on us with eligible phone purchase and unlimited plus. That's a value of up to $449. Get every out-of-market game every Sunday afternoon. Switch to My Plan at your Verizon store today. And for a limited time, get NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV on us with eligible phone purchase and unlimited plus. It's your Verizon. $449 value applies to NFL Sunday Ticket season 23-24 only. Additional terms and embargoes apply to NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube. No refunds.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios. Win Royals tickets 1 hour prior to first pitch by listening to Vern's On Deck Show, KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty. Always live on the free Odyssey app. What's trending?
All right, let's check in on the hot topics trending.
First off, we need a couple people to call in because Carrington says he'll come in.
Okay.
He will stand in for the Mizzou crowd.
Perfect.
To tell Drew why he should root for Mizzou. So we'll need people at 913-586-7610. If you want to be a K-State fan to convince Drew why to cheer for K-State, give us a call, and we need somebody for the Kansas side as well. 913-586-7610. I told Carrington
we'll be doing
that
that
we
around.
were going to tell Drew how to do it. I think he's going to come in a little bit earlier, so maybe we'll do Chris Jones after. That means we probably need we need those callers now.
All right, so not 12:15. We'll do it like around 12:10 or so.
Yeah.
KU, K-State.
He's got stuff going on. I don't know what.
Missouri, you can text in still, but Carrington's going to represent Mizzou. I wonder if Carrington's going to talk you out of taking the Tigers. He might tell you, you know what? You don't want this heartbreak. You don't want
Don't
this
do this to yourself.
You don't want this frustration. But again, our new producer, Drew, obviously, he wants to link up with a college fan base, and he's going to ride with them forever and ever and ever.
It's going to be his local squad.
So he's got to make a decision. All right, first on what's trending, though. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes both spoke today about the Chris Jones situation, and it was the first time we really heard Andy acknowledge that there's not any communication. The exact quote, I guess we don't have the shortened version of it, but the exact quote from Andy Reid was basically that there's no communication, life moves on. I'm paraphrasing, but basically, game moves on. What happens, happens.
Yeah, it was pretty bleak. Mahomes said he didn't think for sure that Chris Jones wouldn't show up week one, but he also didn't make it sound like he was 100% sure he would. So we get more unclarity or lack of clarity, at least on that situation. Next up on What's Trending, the White Sox are cleaning house in their front office. Executive Vice President Ken Williams, gone. GM Rick Hahn, gone. Both out. Some of the early frontrunners for advisory roles, as in could be eventual front office members for the White Sox, include former Royals player and current front office personnel member Chris Getz, and one Dayton Moore.
Of course.
Who is currently employed by the Texas Rangers. But there are reports out there, at least from Bob Nightingale, that they could be interested in bringing his services. Look, when one of your leaders in your clubhouse says, we don't talk about leadership at all, Dayton Moore starts to become real appealing. Also, their owner, Reinsdorf, is a bad owner and like 87 years old. So I imagine he'd like an old school approach. Bad news for Pedro Grifol.
Yeah, first year
I don't know how
manager.
that's going to make you, your job security is pretty bad.
Yeah, it's been a mess for them. A lot of talent on that roster, just it's not a good fit. It hasn't come together. And in a crappy AL Central, the White Sox, there's no reason they should be in the position that they are currently in. Next up on What's Trending, news in college football that could impact the draft this upcoming season. We know the heavy favorite to go number one overall is Caleb Williams. He's also the heavy favorite to win the Heisman for back-to-back seasons over at USC, 5-1 odds. Report is that he would consider going back to college if the wrong team in the NFL had the first pick. Now, we have heard this before from guys that were going to be top picks. Would they actually want to get drafted? Would they hold out on all this? I'll believe this when I see it, but also it would make no sense to me. I know NIL is more attractive than ever. You can make a lot of money staying in college. You, if you're Caleb Williams, would risk a full year of getting hurt, even with the NIL money, just because you don't want to go to, let's say, the Cardinals. No, you go.
I wouldn't want to play for the Cardinals either.
You do one of two things. You can, you get drafted and force a trade, like paid, or, John Elway style or something. Or,
the Mannings.
The Mannings
are really good about it. Eli got his way out of San Diego.
You do something like that. Otherwise, it makes no sense to me.
Well, plus there's a rookie contract is like what, 35 or 40 million about now for a number one overall pick, compared to I don't know how much he's getting at USC, but
probably 10. Probably not getting nothing
It's
at
the,
USC.
it's the injury risk for me. It's like, that would be a foolish decision.
Well,
I don't
and
believe
you could play
this
worse
stuff,
and be the 9th pick and get in a worse situation.
This stuff comes out every year. Not to mention, you wouldn't even know in 2020. Let's say you sit out 2025. There's no guarantee of who the number 1 overall pick is. That you may not like that team either.
Also, this is the earliest anyone's ever been like, I might hold out from the number 1 pick. Full year ahead of time. Impressive.
In fairness, he hasn't said it. There's reports that that's what people in his camp are saying.
Lastly, on What's Trending, Reggie Bush files defamation lawsuit against the NCAA after they publicly have been stating that he was in a pay-for-play situation at USC. This all part of their just like, let's just say, semi-unfounded things about what happened with Reggie Bush at the time. He's obviously getting ready to do some stuff with USC now that his ban ended a couple of years ago. Honestly, now that it's all legal, what he did is now legal.
Right.
It feels like maybe just give the man his Heisman. He was the best player in college football that year.
Do you have that same philosophy with the KU allegations? Because what they did technically,
I told you that's taken so long. I don't care if anything happens to Kansas.
I'm just
Bury
checking.
it. It's been 10 years. I don't care.
Well,
let it die.
Well, I told you the minute they won the national championship. Since then, also, it just nobody. It just doesn't matter. Who cares?
Statute of limitations. We're good on Kansas.
Yeah.
That stuff happened 7 years ago.
I'm with you. It's going to be 10 years later by the time they make a decision. That's what's trending.
care.
Thinking of college sports, though, we mentioned Drew, our new producer, new to the area, doesn't have any allegiance to any of the local schools. We said he's got to make a decision before college football starts. Who is he going to back going forward in football, basketball, everything? Who's he going to start rooting for? He's got to make a decision today. And we figured we would get each representative of a fan base to pitch.
We still need a K-State fan to call, it looks like.
Why KU?
Yes.
Why K-State? 913-586-7610 is the phone number. 913-586-7610. Of course, we have a huge MU fan
in-house,
host of The Drive, Carrington Harrison, who will not be on today because we got some Royals baseball coming up a little bit later on this afternoon. You want to give the pitch? Why he should join up with you in the Missouri Tiger fan base?
I am actually not going to make the case that he should cheer for Missouri.
What?
I knew it.
I'm actually going to make the case that he should cheer for Kansas State.
You're a Missouri fan. Why wouldn't you want?
You don't want him
more
experiencing
people?
the heartbreak and the frustration?
If I could just start from a clean slate and I could pick one of the 3 schools, it's not. To me, the problem isn't cheering for Kansas athletics. It's being a Kansas fan. I would never advocate for anybody to be a Kansas fan.
Okay.
So that's number 1.
Like just the attitude.
Yeah, K-State, your team's probably going to be ranked preseason, at least in the others receiving votes category in basketball this year. They had a great season last year, great coach, great recruiting class. You're going to be ranked in football. You got a chance to win the Big 12 this year. Very easy drive to get to Manhattan, Kansas. You got some games that you can circle on the board this year. If you're telling me that you come in from the area, you could be anything. I'd be a K-State fan, passionate fan base. He can. I mean, right now
they got a little bit of the little brother thing, though. You know.
Yeah, like KU, you're right about the arrogance with the fandom. That's
so
true.
Does Missouri.
Missouri just doesn't win anything, and then K-State, there's definitely a little very sensitive at times, but they win. They win too.
Yeah, but the way you're talking is what Carrington doesn't want about Kansas fans. You're just like, yeah, it sucks to be not the best.
Yeah, I don't.
No, I just said it. You just don't like the answer. I just said acknowledge that KU fans are more arrogant.
It's not the answer.
There's very sensitivity with K-State. There's a lot of it.
I mean, that just kind of comes apart. I mean, honestly, what's also great about K-State, his thing, he can talk to Chris Kleiman tomorrow. If you call K-State and say, hey, I want Chris Kleiman on the show, Chris Kleiman will be on the show tomorrow.
We should probably get somebody from one of the universities to be like, hey, we're having you on because our producer had to choose. He's chosen your school. Congratulations.
I guess we need to ask Drew the question. How important is winning championships to you?
I think it's there, but
clear.
You're a Bengals fan, so obviously not very.
So
not that important.
Chance of winning the championship until the playoffs gets expanded.
But as I've said, I don't want to hop on a bandwagon like KU. Plus, I think Carrington hits the nail on the head, though. You guys are a little bit like IU fans with basketball, and the fan base,
1999 still. But
I know the fan base comes. Well, yeah, they're not winning. You guys actually are, but I think that you don't want to jump on a bandwagon when the team is good and all the. I don't know.
Drew, I'm just asking. Do you want to be more like Alex Gold? Like, I know you've only been around him for 8-9 days. You've seen Alex. Do you want to be more like Alex? That's what being a KU fan is. I can't advocate that for anybody. Please don't be a KU fan. We don't need any more KU fans. If you're a KU fan, you're not going to start watching college basketball until late February. And then it's like, oh, I love this team. And then we keep hearing how this point guard is the next Sharon Collins. We hear this story. Stop it. I'm sick of them. I don't want any more.
Your pitch for MU is not to pick MU. That's your pitch that you're giving Drew.
I would never advocate.
Okay. Just checking.
I would never advocate somebody who wasn't already a Missouri fan to just become a Missouri fan. No, absolutely not. I'm already in it. I'm in it. I can tell you the ups and the downs, I wouldn't sign you up for it if you weren't born in Missouri. He wasn't born in Missouri.
No, he wasn't.
He's got a chance to now clean slate, pick any team he wants, go to the Octagon of Doom, be a K-State fan. That's what I would tell you to do.
Thank you, Ken.
Okay.
Don't cheer for Mizzou.
There's the non-Mizzou pitch.
Because what's going to happen with Mizzou this
Tough
year
start from Missouri
is just 2 times this year, they're going to infuriate you. You don't know when it's going to happen. You just know it's going to happen 2 times this year.
Is the Mizzou voicemail in your folder? Where's that? I feel like it's,
Why would I give you that information?
Where is it?
No,
Where
I'm
is
not,
it?
I'm not going to give
People are
you
asking
the
for it.
tools to bring me down.
People are asking for it.
I don't know where it is. I'm not going to
liar.
I'm not going to tell you
Liar.
where it is. I'm not helping you. KU fan.
Rock chalk. All right, thinking of KU. I'm not giving the pitch to KU because I'm trying to remain out of this whole thing, not trying to coerce Drew into picking the Jayhawks. Let's go to the phones. Is this Greg? 913-586-7610. Greg, give us your pitch to Drew why he should pick KU.
All right, Drew, we're going to start here. Volleyball team, one of the best in the country. Fantastic at volleyball. Basketball, mid-level to terrible. Football team is going to be great this year. Matt Rule is the guy. Let's go Big Red, FKU.
Okay, that was what it was about.
Oh,
he was a Nebraska
okay, yeah.
He was never going
nice
to pick
job,
Nebraska.
Greg. Oh, yeah, I'm talking KU. Yeah, I mean, I feel like
wow, so we still
There's
need a
gonna be-
KU
there's gonna
guy,
be a-
and we still need a K-State guy.
I declined somebody because somebody called and said, sorry, we already got KU.
Because Greg was a Nebraska fan.
Jeez.
So 913-586-7610. If you would like to make a real pitch for him to cheer for Kansas, 913-586-7610. We need someone from Kansas State as well. That's 913-586-7610.
Oh, by the way, I found the MU voicemail.
I don't know what that is.
It's been requested. It's why you shouldn't be an MU fan as well.
Perfect.
I mean, really? Should we expect anything less than the absolute worst luck in the world, the worst refs in the world, the worst calls in the world, the worst bowls in the world, the worst seed in the tournament in the world? We're Missouri fans, dude. We're Tigers. We are destined to continue to fail and be disappointed year after year after year. That's who we are, period. Look at the history. Some Missouri alumni or something back in the long time ago made somebody very, very angry, and I think that somebody's the Lord. And it's just not happening for the Tigers, man. Not happening.
That's a strong case against Missouri as well. From a Mizzou, kind of like Carrington, basically like, you don't want to be part of this.
Kind of sounds like Missouri's out. We're between KU and K-State.
I think it's down to
Drew.
KU and K-State.
I don't know what about the last 7 minutes of this show would convince Drew to go towards Missouri.
No.
I'd have a better chance convincing him to cheer for you.
All right,
and
I think we
K-State.
have someone for an official K-State pitch, even though Carrington basically did it for you.
We
already.
have a KU and a K-State one. We're good.
Let's hear the K-State pitch. This is Mike. Mike, you're on Cody and Gold. Our new producer, Drew, he just got in town. He's trying to find a fan base to join up with for college football and really college sports in general. Give him the pitch.
Well, check it out, man. The reason I didn't hear the other dude give his little pitch is because I was dialing the wrong number. I was dialing the old number, and it wasn't working. I was getting mad. But first of all, KU fans, all they do is hide under a rock all year long. You don't hear a peep from any KU fan. They stay up under a rock all year. Basketball season, here come all the KU fans with their little seance. Rock chalk, Jayhawk. First off, it's built on rock chalk. If you know how brittle that is, we don't even need to discuss that any further. Secondly, just to get that out the way, because the other dude that comes on later at 2 o'clock, it definitely ain't Missouri. You had a quarterback named Chase Daniel who ate his boogers on the sideline. There's videos of it, so we don't want to be a part of any booger eaters. K-State, on the other hand, we're going to be competitive in every single sport. Every single sport. We may not be national champions, but we do got one in bass fishing, and everybody can relate to that. So, Kansas State all the way, man.
There it is,
All right,
Mike.
appreciate the call.
Good
That's
pitch.
awesome.
Mike, call it in.
They don't have any football or basketball national championships. I will say that. We've given Missouri a hard time for that, but K-State doesn't have those right now either. Also, college football works in a way that none of these 3 local schools are going to get a college football championship ever, probably. We do realize that, right? Like Missouri, Kansas, and K-State have like a less than 1% chance of getting a college football national championship in the next 30 years.
I mean, K-State has the best. K-State has the best chance.
Best chance for sure.
I mean, we just saw TCU out of the Big 12 go to a college football playoff. So if K-State, who did beat them, by the way, in the Big 12 title game, if K-State were to run the table or come close to it, they could get into the. I think K-State's got the best chance of the three to ever do it in this current era right now, and we know that
it's still a small chance.
Very much so. All right. Let's see if we have an actual KU fan for a pitch here. This is
not Nebraska
This
again?
is the last
Hopefully.
chance. It seems like K-State is going to be where Drew leans, but
Mike,
let's hear
by the
from
way,
a different Mike.
Mike is the one who called and got denied. So I'm glad I'm glad I got it.
Mike, you got to come in strong to try to convince Drew to flip. It sounds like. Let's go.
All right, guys. Well, hey, thanks for not denying me this time. Appreciate you. Where do I start? First of all, I can appreciate what Carrington's saying because you really don't want to be an MU fan. There's no point in that. You don't go to Final Fours. You really don't win anything of relevance in football. And you kind of have ugly people in your state. So not really that cool.
Wow.
Taking out a whole state.
Wow. As for the last Mike that called in that didn't know exactly what the rock chalk came from, it's from all the limestone that's in Kansas that's built up around the campus. So that's what the rock chalk is referring to, and it was actually a chant that the band had started way back when, and that's where that came from. So it's pretty cool. There's some history to it. Speaking of history, Kansas State really doesn't have any in any team sport. They've never won a national championship, not just football or basketball, but any team sport whatsoever. So you're going to be rooting for losers if you go that route. Their mascot, I mean, what kind of mascot only has a head? Did they forget the rest of the body? I don't really know what's going on there. And as far as KU itself, I mean, yeah, some of the fans are pretty arrogant, and I'm not really sure who thinks that we just come out of the woodwork and plan a four-time because basketball is life. We actually are probably one of the few fan bases that watches the entire season from the exhibitions all the way through. So, I mean, we've got a full arena at Allen Fieldhouse every single game. It doesn't matter who's playing there. It's not just when Kansas comes into town and where their Super Bowl at MU or K-State where they can fill their arena. It's every single night. And on the football side, yeah, we have been in the gutter for the last, 12 years or so. But Leipold's got things going the right way. The Athletic actually said that Kansas would be one of the best bandwagon teams to get on when it comes to football. So there's some good stuff going on there. Whole lot of success history in the basketball side of the world. So you won't be rooting for somebody that doesn't or that sucks the whole way through or has some nice little run for a season, 2 seasons before their coach gets hired by a real program. Kansas is the pinnacle of college basketball, so there is no comparison there. But that's what I'd say. If you want to root for winners, root for a fan base that's actually relevant around town, go KU, man. Rock chalk.
There you go, Mike.
Okay,
I like it.
There you go. All 3 local schools have been represented. Stronger pitches from some than others.
Like I loved it. I like to think that we're not like sometimes like the reputation that people in the Midwest get, I think is unfair to someone who grew up in the Midwest the entire time. And then you've got Kansas, and over the last week, I find out that the 2 things that they're happy to celebrate are rocks and wheat. And
he was responding to the accusation that the rock chalk chant doesn't make sense. There actually is history behind it. That's what he was responding to.
No, but we just talked about like they're designing a stadium where they're going to have wheat amongst the top of it, and their single biggest chant is about rocks. I'm just like, man, we got to find some other things to celebrate. I don't know
it's
what
one of the
is,
most historical chants in college
I was going to
sports.
say, it is an iconic
I'm familiar.
chant, though. I don't
it's
know.
objectively not a cool thing it's being chanted
Drew,
about.
you said today it's the day. You're going to make a decision. You've heard the
It is the day.
pitches. I think you got a good feel now of which fan base you're actually and what you're getting into. So who are you riding with? You just moved here. Is it going to be KU? Is it going to be MU? Or is it going to be Kansas State?
I think MU's been scratched quickly because
nobody wants you to actually cheer for that team.
Everybody doesn't like MU. Alex, you went to KU. I feel like the trash talk will be. I don't know if I want to steal your thunder. I feel like the trash talk will be a lot more fun if you stick to the KU side.
Plus, our last producer was a Kansas fan.
Oh, perfect. Well, okay. I'm not going to divert off of Nick's path. I'm going to go with Kansas State. Joe wants me to join. Joe said on Twitter, you have the right to join a bandwagon. You have the right because you're a Bengals fan. I like cheering for the small guy. It's okay.
So are you saying you want to keep the Cincinnati Bengals tradition going of not winning championships? That's what you're committing to?
K-State,
Okay.
now that I'm a K-State fan,
there it is. He's a fan.
we won a Big 12 championship last year. So
it's already we.
What did you do last year?
Hey,
Not
you know
win a
what?
Big 12 championship. Get knocked out in the Sweet
I
16.
also want to be part of Jerome Tang's quest to get that arena sold out all season long.
So Drew is
K-State game this
headed
year.
to Bramlage, it sounds like. So are you going to start tweeting #EMA and stuff? Is that where you're at now? You got to get that down. Someone's going to have to teach you what the Wabash Cannonball and all that, whatever it's called.
Yeah, there's
You
some
got-
things
you
to
gotta-
learn.
You're going to
Their
have to work on
mascot is
that.
weird. It is an animal head with a human
It
body.
is.
It's a bit bizarre, but it's unique.
One thing
Got
too
that
about
going for it.
One thing too about K-State in NCAA football 2003, their spread option game was nasty, and I always use K-State, in the mascot game.
So Drew,
I don't know, I feel like we're rolling with them.
We actually have K-State fan on the show now. We have KU, we got UMKC, and I told Cody he's basically an MU fan, and then part of the Missouri school system, and
UMKC.
then we got Drew now, who is K-State fan.
I guess
Here,
when we start doing
hardcore.
like college football talk, I guess I'll take Missouri this year. Did I take Missouri last year? I think I did.
I think you did.
I
took
will
K-State.
say, I will say this too, as a K-State fan now, and I'm not backtracking, but I do respect the hell out of Allen Fieldhouse, and I am looking forward to going.
A lot of K-State fans
KU game.
enjoy
I
going to
And
the
you're
Fieldhouse.
purple.
I cannot wait.
To the the KU K-State.
By the way,
game.
you did mention uniforms earlier, Cody. That lavender is
It is
real,
nice.
real
No,
nice.
lavender's nice, yeah.
It was real nice.
They got a new court. You see K-State, much better court, by the way.
Yes.
Just go back to classic, basic. Before the different shading of the court it's much better now. They're going back very traditional court, but it looks much, much better. K-State put that out yesterday.
We'll get you there.
They're at
But
Bramlage. You can go
I
to
guess
the
if you're a
basement.
K-State fan, 913-586-7610, let Drew know what he needs to know as a brand new K-State fan. What are all the traditions that because neither of us grew up a K-State fan, we don't know. We only know
Aggieville's a good time.
only know the big ones.
Aggieville's a good time.
CDOT also.
I'm just happy you didn't pick MU. I'll be honest. Like that's the one where we would have had problems. We would have had problems.
CDOT convinced me, I think, one, to not take MU, but also, the fact that we, in a heartbeat, if we get Chris Kleiman on, I mean, maybe Jerome Tang too. I mean, I don't know. There's a way that we
All right,
can
well, now
fold that in there.
we
It is
gotta
a
get
good time to be a K-State fan.
We got to get you some K-State gear though. Like we gotta
want me to
talk
reach
to
out to
some
our friends at
friends.
Charlie Hustle?
or a Rally House somewhere. We got to get.
Give me one of them lavender shirts that says cats. That's.
I feel like we got to get Drew hooked up now to support the fan base he is now part of. I think we can make that happen.
I will message our friends. We know people who have gear, right? I mean, we can
Get him
certainly
some
get in touch with
K-State.
somebody.
Get him some K-State gear.
I think we should get Chris Kleiman or Jerome Tang on soon to congratulate Drew on his selection as a K-State
Hey, by the way, he just
fan.
moved here. He chose you. He picked you
He was
over
giving
the
a
other
pitch.
local schools.
That would have been.
And I want Jerome Tang's
Getting
phone number so I can text him if I got a problem.
Some freshman at K-State's got that now. If you didn't follow that, was from yesterday on the show where Jerome Tang gave out his phone number to the freshman orientation group or whatever it was there, and trying to get students to show up to Bramlage. But yeah, you're gonna have to look. You're gonna have to go to all three college towns at some point over the next year or whatever, and check out and experience Aggieville and Manhattan, experience Lawrence and Mass Street, go to Columbia, experience Missouri football game, whatever, right?
Are any of their stadiums like public where you can just roll up and walk around?
What do you mean? Like you could just? I don't think you can just walk in.
For example, the Florida Gators, Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, you can literally just walk in. The gates are open. There's people who work out there and run steps. I mean,
I don't think so.
Just curious.
If any of them, it would be Memorial Stadium. I don't think anybody would stop you from going in there. But
yeah, right now you're fine. I think you're good there. Yeah.
like probably that one.
Summertime tour, maybe.
All right, we'll
Just
work out.
bounce
We'll
around.
get you out to a game. We'll work on that. Yeah, you and your wife, or we
He
can
also
all, we can all
chose
go.
K-State. We're the home of the K-State Wildcats.
We are.
So I mean, you've also sided
There
with
we go.
610 in a way. You probably didn't know that, but we also air their games.
Yeah, you can actually just buy really good seats and then just turn in expenses. Spec will take care of it. So yeah, just buy whatever tickets you want to football games, and then Spec will actually reimburse you. It's very simple. Very simple stuff.
Do you think that that's how it works?
Yeah, well, that is how it works.
It sounds great.
It's a great setup. All right, coming up next, though, now that Drew has his local team, we'll actually shift to the Royals. I don't know if we'll get you to become a Royals fan. I don't even know who your baseball team is, by the way.
I'm technically open to the market. My wife and I like Fernando Tatis, and Manny Machado is one of my favorite players.
Sure.
So the Padres we kind of gravitate towards, but Indianapolis has a AAA team. Pensacola
Well, so
they had a
sounds
AA
like-
team.
Oh, so it
I'm
sounds like you're
open
a
for
Royals
business.
It sounds like we can get you on
Don't
board
worry,
with the
you're going
Royals.
to get your losing franchise after all.
That's right. That's right. We'll talk some baseball with Josh Vernier next.
You're listening to Cody and Gold.
He's so good, and everyone knows it.
Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
When you have asphalt and concrete needs, there's only one company in Kansas City you need to call. That's Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Look, they're one contractor, all things parking lot. It doesn't matter which things you need. Asphalt paving services, those maintenance solutions, or even major concrete work. Gann Asphalt and Concrete can take care of it for you. Go to their website for yourself and take a look, GANNasphalt.com, or give them a call, 816-354-1214.
Hurry in now for NFM's clearance sale. These amazing deals are first come, first served. Closeout, open box, and floor sample selections are updated daily. Don't miss taking up to 80% off suggested retail on furniture. Browse NFM's rock bottom costs on flooring and save up to 60% off suggested retail on appliances and electronics. Shop markdowns on appliances, electronics, furniture, and flooring only at the in-store clearance centers. It's first come, first served at clearance prices right now at NFM.
School is starting and so is football. Make it easy with Old Shawnee Pizza and their Wednesday special. Buy any medium one-topping pizza and get the second medium half price. Go to ShawneePizza.com to order for pickup, delivery, or eat in. Old Shawnee Pizza, 3 locations.
When you get your home internet from Big Cable, you'll go through the 5 stages of grief over your bill. There's denial.
Okay, so my introductory rate is over, but surely they won't raise the price.
Anger.
They've raised it.
Even bargaining.
Maybe if I complain, they'll give me a discount.
And sure, you could stick around for depression and acceptance to kick in, or you can switch to T-Mobile. With T-Mobile 5G home internet, you can say goodbye to the grief of exploding bills. Because with our price lock guarantee, we won't raise your rate for internet ever. And it's just $50 a month with auto pay and eligible payment method. Plus, setup only takes 15 minutes. Get T-Mobile 5G home internet for just $50 a month. Check availability at T-Mobile.com/5G internet.
Price lock exclusions like taxes and fees apply. Qualifying credit required. Regulatory fees included in $50 price for qualified accounts, plus $5 per month without autopay. Debit or bank account required.
At Fisher Investments, our clients know we have their backs.
How do your clients know that?
Because Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, the highest standard for a financial advisor. It means we're there for our clients and always put their interests first.
So wait, you do it because you have to?
No, we do it because it's the right thing to do. Our clients trust us with their retirement savings, and we know how important that responsibility is. So we take the time to really get to know them.
Get to know them how?
We make sure we understand their unique goals, finances, health, family, and lifestyle so we can tailor their portfolio to their specific needs. Our goal is to help them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Sounds like a big responsibility. You must make big commissions then, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We have one single transparent fee that's structured so we do better when our clients do better. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you are switching to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Hey, are your old windows letting all that good air conditioning out? Well, on those hot summer days, that cool air is escaping through your old leaky windows and the hot air is pouring in. You want to replace those old windows and keep the cool air inside your house this summer. We still got some time in the summer. You also need to prepare for the winter when the opposite is going to happen. That's why I'm here telling you about Window World, the official window of the Kansas City Chiefs. Window World's windows are one of 2 windows with a Good Housekeeping seal of approval, ranked #1 in number of windows sold in the country by Qualified Remodeler magazine. Just over 20 years in business, they have improved the look and thermal efficiency over 52,000 homes in Kansas City. You get a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor, because Window World uses a double strength glass that gives it a strength that is not commonly used in replacement windows. Right now, they're offering 18 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. All you need to do is call them for a free home estimate. Replace your windows and keep the cool air inside your house this summer with Window World.
Max Motors, our team is ready to help you with all your automotive needs.
My husband and I were looking for a truck. We were told that Max Motors was the place to go. They had exactly what we were looking for and at a price that worked within our budget.
Shop 24/7 at maxmotors.com, open late. See dealer for details.
Missing your NFL team's out-of-market games? Not a great plan. A much better plan? Switch to my plan from Verizon and get NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV on us with eligible phone purchase and unlimited plus. That's a value of up to $449. Get every out-of-market game game every Sunday afternoon. Switch to my plan at your Verizon store today. And for a limited time, get NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV on us with eligible phone purchase and unlimited plus. It's your Verizon. $449 value applies to NFL Sunday Ticket season 23-24 only. Additional terms and embargoes apply to NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube. No refunds.
Hey guys, this is Keenan Thompson. I have a problem with you. Yes, you. None of y'all told me that AutoTrader has millions of new and used cars that I can shop from home. I thought we were friends. I put smiles on your face, but I'm not smiling. No one told me that with AutoTrader, a dealer can deliver cars to my home or that I could shop by price on AutoTrader. No one. Consider this friendship that you just learned we had officially over. Finally, it's easy. AutoTrader.
'Tis the season. No, not that season. But it soon will be. And that means heating season. It's hard to think about right now, but this is the absolute best time to prepare for a warm and comfy winter. Why now? Because if you wait until it's cold, good luck. Now is the time to make the switch to a high-efficiency boiler from Navient. Their condensing boilers are Energy Star certified in a compact wall-hung design and backed by a strong warranty. Take advantage of up to $600 in federal tax credit. Find your local Navient installer at BoilerComfort.com. That's BoilerComfort.com.
If this were a Reese's TV ad, you'd be staring at a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. And sure, my voice is peanut buttery smooth, but still, you need to see the peanut butter cups, right? No? I can really just say Reese's and you'll go get some? Okay, Reese's. 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 Really working, actually. Reese's. Reese's. I'm on to something. Reese's. Reese's. Reese's.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Chiefs coverage is brought to you by Renner Garage Door. Forward and back. RENNER.
Renner Garage Door, servicing and installing garage doors in KC for over 60 years. Family owned and top rated. Residential, commercial, service, and repairs. RENNER. Forward and back. Renner, the company that does garage doors. RennerDoor.com.
I just think of Space Jam every time I hear this.
Yeah.
Space Jam immediately. Again, the intro video and the intro for Space Jam, the original one.
Did you ever watch the new one?
I did. It was fun. It was all right.
It's okay.
Yeah, that's what I said. It was okay.
It was okay.
It was an upgrade for
I was
the
glad
animation.
it fell out of rotation from my kids' interest pretty quick.
It was an upgrade animation-wise, but the story will never be as good as when it was the MJ one. Just can't match that. Kid shooting the hoop in the basket in his backyard.
That's the 30 seconds of that entire movie.
I know, but it's the beginning's
stuck
great.
With you, clearly.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna go to North Carolina, and all of a sudden he goes up for the layup or the dunk, and then it cuts to the highlight montage. It's incredible. It's a great start to a movie. Anyway, we'll get to the random question today coming up in about 10 minutes or so. But let's talk some Royals baseball. Our Royals insider Josh Vernier. Home stretch of the season, Vern. We can get to the on the field for a second. I did want to real quick, though, get your reaction to the two renderings for the stadium sites that came out yesterday. What did you make of both? I mean, they put all this investment into the project. They were both going to look pretty awesome, and they certainly did.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I watched each video once. They each look cool. Hearing that song, Fly Like an Eagle, it reminds me, if I may, reminds me of a Steve Miller Band concert that I went to in college, and I got so drunk I was convinced that I couldn't speak.
That feels like a time-honored tradition at a Steve Miller Band concert.
It was a good time. It was a real good time.
God, my mom loves Steve Miller Band. Those records got played a lot in the Tap household.
How can you not? Driving around summer in high school, listening to that, not a care in the world. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, that and Tom Petty. On a nice day, put the windows down, let's have a good time.
1976.
But yeah, as far as the renderings, I'm sorry, Gold. Yeah. I thought they were very nice, but like you mentioned, I didn't expect to see cancer of the concrete. And, I didn't expect to see some dilapidated building. You better be able to computer generate something that's going to look nice because, as you know, the sentiment around town, and you've said this for quite a while, people feel how they feel. Even seeing the pictures, I don't think is going to change anybody's opinion. I don't know what changes someone's opinion as we stand here today. I would venture to guess, though, it has to do with on the field kind of performance or an off season, an aggressive off season from the front office.
Well, I think what we talked about is, one way that I would think you could just win the stadium conversation right away is extend Bobby Wood Jr. You and I have both said that we think this has to be the offseason for it. But how do you, like, what's your elevator pitch to Bobby Wood Jr. to take the $200 million from you? Because he knows the same as we know, which is if you play like this and wait 4 years, it's 3 or 350.
No, the pitch is here's a bag of money. That's all we got.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would love to present something else, but that's the only thing that would speak to me if I'm Bobby Witt, is security. The knowledge of if I bust my knee this offseason, I still have this huge bag of cash that's going to get me through at least my 28th birthday, and then I'll be able to get another huge bag of cash. Yeah, that's it to me. There's nothing that, with all due respect to John Sherman and J.J. Piccolo, this isn't a knock on them. This is just where their organization is right now. There isn't something that you can present to Bobby and say, I promise you we're going to be good here. Now, you'll have a really nice stadium to play in, and you would like to think the team's going to be good when they're playing in that stadium, but there are no guarantees.
Did you make anything of what Sherman had said the other day about realizing that they were ahead of themselves about where their team was and now they're more realistic about it? That tell you anything about where this team will be next year?
No. To me, the big takeaway from what I've heard from John Sherman was really just more blame being laid at the feet of Dayton Moore. Man, if we would have been more proactive, and it's even before John Sherman took over as owner. I mean, we're talking about 2017, 18, 19, going into 2020. If maybe the front office was more honest with how far contention was, as far as we all understand why Dayton Moore isn't here anymore. He committed to a core like he did in that championship core. He committed to another one that didn't work out. Merrifield, Mondesi, Dozier, Duffy, that didn't pan out. That's what I've read into John Sherman's comments of late is I wish we wouldn't have committed so long to the same group to the same losing hand. Let me put it that way. Way too long. Did that team drag it out with Barlow, with Keller, with Merrifield, and you really don't have much to show for it.
Is Dayton going to end up the GM in Chicago, or is he just going to do this like consultant thing team to team?
Yeah, it seems as if Chris Getz is going to be the top guy with Dayton as his right-hand man. I think he'll work a little bit closer with Getz than he did Chris Young in Texas. But yeah. Go for it, Jerry Reinsdorf. You're doing a great job.
God, he's one of the worst.
I can't believe the White Sox.
One of the worst owners in sports, dude. He's terrible.
He sure is. I can't believe this is what I remember being on the air in 2020. I got to imagine you guys felt the same. The White Sox are about to become a juggernaut that is going to dominate this division for at least the next 5 years, and they just have been unable to develop anyone. We talk about pitching in Kansas City, the inability to develop pitching. The last time the White Sox drafted and developed a pitcher that is in a rotation right now, eating up innings and doing something positive was 2014 when they drafted Carlos Rodon. So they have been grinding in the draft. They've hit a few bats in the first round, but most of their talent was acquired via the draft. And Reinsdorf is just, we talk about loyalty in Kansas City. Dayton Moore's loyalty, Jerry Reinsdorf's loyalty is why they find themselves, honestly, maybe in just as bad of a spot as the Royals are. Now they can move a Robert, a Dylan Cease, and maybe jumpstart their organization with that, but they don't have the young talent that the Royals do right now, and they certainly don't have the acknowledgement that we're at the ground floor, that we're rebuilding this thing. They got to start that and start that soon.
And we already knew around the trade deadline, right? Salvador Perez, that the White Sox reportedly were one of the teams that were interested, and we made the Pedro Grifol connection. Now, if you're going to tell me that Chris Getz and maybe Dayton Moore are part of a new front office, I mean, that just continues to fuel that in the offseason, right?
Yeah, or it certainly will add another team that you can use when you're talking with another team, right? I'm on the phone with the Marlins, but hey, you know how Pedro feels about Salvi. You know the connection he has with his former teammate in Chris Getz and his former boss in Dayton Moore. You can pit those two teams against one another, hopefully drive up the trade return that you could get for Salvador Perez.
On the field, we know that the left side of that infield, I mean, you're set. You're feeling great, not only with Bobby Witt Jr., but Michael Garcia. What about Michael Massey? I mean, another great defensive play last night, the rapport that him and Bobby Witt Jr. had. We saw that against the A's. I know you've said he's one of those players that you think still can convince you over the next, 40-something games left?
I'm not really counting, but it's exactly 34 games.
Okay. Less than 40.
Sure. Massey can. He's not doing anything to blow me away. Again, he's 2 years older than Bobby, 2 years older than Michael Garcia. And even when you listen to the Matt Quatrero earlier today when talking about Michael Garcia, he acknowledges that Michael's a part of the future and they love him on the left side of the infield. But if they're able to get a stud third baseman this offseason, Michael Garcia will move. And where would he likely move to? Second base, supplanting Michael Massey. Now, Massey can still be a contributor to a winner. We've all gotten in that mindset of, all right, you're this guy every single day for 162. That's not who the Royals are likely to be. That's not who Matt Quatrero and his coaching staff have ever been. They're going to utilize all 13 position players. So Massey can still play a lot, maybe just not every day at second base. He still has a lot to show down the stretch these final 34 games. Solid defender, has that solid bat, doesn't walk enough, so I'm going to need to see extra base power on a consistent basis, and that hasn't been there.
We didn't talk about we talked about him early on, but it's been a long time. How have you felt about the job Q's done now up to this point versus maybe earlier in the season where people were looking for him to, I don't know, get angry, I think was kind of the early portion of the story around Quatrero?
It's just such a different team now with Samad and Dairon Blanco and Michael Garcia. It's a much speedier team than the one that we started the season with Hunter Dozier and Franmil Reyes and Jackie Bradley Jr. It was more of a, we're going to sit back and wait for the 2-3 run home run, and obviously that never showed up. So he's utilizing the talent that he has, and it's not a lot of talent. I think he's done a good job of keeping the guys consistent. That's what he said his main goal was at the beginning of the year. The pitching staff, he's gluing it together somehow night in and night out, knowing that you really only have three starters, Reagans, Lyles, and Brady Singer. I think he's doing a fine job. I'm excited to see this offseason, though. I can't wait to see what Alec Marsh or Angel Zerpa or Michael Massey or Drew Waters, what these guys look like after a full offseason with this coaching staff, with this new structure within the organization, hitting philosophy, pitching philosophy. What do those guys look like at the beginning of spring training? Because you see, statistically, there's something there. Strikeout stuff's there with Zerpa, with Marsh, with Chandler Champlain. You know the talent's there with Drew Waters and Michael Massey. Can this coaching staff, can this organization mine the rest of it out of them? And get them started right out of the gate. I'd like to see a real competition for those final two spots in the rotation. Some new names, not just the Lynch and Bubic and Heasley. Some of these young names, I'd like to see a few breakouts next year in spring training.
A couple weeks ago, you were in studio with us, Vern, and we did the random question today. We were talking about if anybody done those settlements. I don't know if you guys saw. I tweeted at both of you last night. I just want to throw it out there. There's, you guys had any Dole fruit cups lately?
I'm a fresh fruit guy.
Okay.
Same.
Same.
Okay. Since 2017, if you had any of those fruit cups, man, there's a settlement right now.
I bought my kids some fruit cups for like their school lunches for a little bit, but I don't think they were Dole.
Sure, they were Dole. Sure, they were.
Were they? Definitely. Are they looking?
They were definitely Dole ones.
I don't think best choice. Yeah.
If you've bought 60 of them since 2017, you can get $9.
60? Do I have to prove that I bought 60 of them?
No, if you can prove, you get $15. If you can't,
I
it's
think
$9.
just having two kids is proof
I've got kids.
that you've had.
You have to
have
the receipt for the 15, but you can get a certain amount for each fruit cup.
Vern, should I have coached my kid's 5-year-old soccer team because I declined?
For on-air content, yes, you should have.
Just for that portion of it.
It would be interesting.
Yeah, Mahomes is going to provide plenty, I guess. So you don't really need any. But if there was like a T-ball team this offseason to get you through this Royals campaign, maybe you should have done that.
Yeah. Maybe next year. There's always T-ball next year. That's about the window.
There is.
Josh Vernier, our Royals insider. We'll be handing it off to you, man, here in about less than an hour.
Sounds good.
There you go. Josh Vernier. He's on deck show coming up, 1:30 today. Royals baseball on a little bit earlier. It was a weird 3.5-hour show for us. A weird start time.
The
for
Salvi
Royals.
stuff is going to heat up.
Oh, with
Dayton Moore and Chris Getz and an entire organization who says they have no leadership, and they were already one of the teams who was reportedly trying to trade for Salvador Perez. Yeah, pretty. God, it would look so gross. Salvi in a Chicago White Sox uniform.
Mm-hmm.
Gross. Not interested.
They should trade him, but yes, you would prefer. This gets you start getting picky. It's hey, if the White Sox put together the best package, man, I have no problem with it. If what they put together trade wise is more impressive than the Marlins or any other franchise, then you make the trade. You don't not trade him to the White Sox because he's in the division.
Yeah, that's fair. But I did still,
especially in baseball. We talk about that all the time in
sports,
hurts,
man.
Oh,
that's a
yeah.
lifer. That's a Royals lifer, and still my least favorite baseball team of all time. Screw the. I love watching them in misery. It brings me joy to watch them fail. More than any other team in baseball, more than the Yankees, like a team that just has every advantage you didn't. But I do take a lot
the
of
Yankees
sweet
and Mets
joy.
this year. But the Yankees have lost 9 in a row.
The Royals have won a World Series more recently than the Yankees, and that has been true for almost a decade now, and it brings me a lot of joy. It brings me a lot of joy to know that, despite the fact they're $300 million a year payroll, can't buy them a World Series. It's nice.
All right, let's get to it. The random question of the day.
Random question.
For you, Gold. For you, Drew, over in the text line, 913-586-7610. All right, I'm going to ask a football-related one. I don't typically go that way because I've got one I want to say for tomorrow. We'll have a little more time in the show so we can get to it. Well, I want to ask you one thing. Do you think Tua's fat? I don't know. Look, if you saw these questions or not, listen to Ryan Clark
random, all right.
talk about Tua Tagovailoa and what we saw, some pictures swirling around his training camp practice yesterday. This is what Ryan Clark had to say.
I'm gonna tell you what he wasn't doing. He wasn't in the gym. I bet you that.
Come on,
he wasn't with me. He might have spent a lot of time at the tattoo parlor. He was not at the dinner table eating what the nutritionist had advised. Oh my! He looks happy. Okay, he is thick. He's thick. Yeah, he's built like a girl work at Onyx in Atlanta right now on the bottom.
Come on now. First, that clip is incredible and a very decent. But he does look bigger. Why did he get big this offseason? He just looks thicker across the board.
I think to protect himself.
He's getting concussions.
Yeah, but there's still
He's getting bigger going to prevent concussions?
There was a story this offseason that he's between weight and also, I think, jiu-jitsu or whatever.
Yeah, I saw that.
To try to when he's getting tackled to where he's able to move his head in a direction so it's not directly hitting the back of his head and like he's had. So, look, it's funny, but I think he's also doing it to protect himself. He's not going Jamarcus Russell here or anything like that.
Or James Harden. He's not trying to get himself out of Miami, right?
No.
Because James Harden did that.
Wait, so you're saying you think
I think he just looks big.
So you don't think he's in shape? You think he's having a bad year because of
I'm
it?
not even saying that. What I'm telling you is I cannot find an example of an NFL starting quarterback that has been successful with that body shape. What's the closest we've got? Maybe McNabb? He was kind of like a stockier dude.
Yeah.
Is that as good as I can do? Comparison-wise, McNabb was like he always was a little thicker.
So you think now Tua
This is like the Brock Osweiler thing. There are just certain
because-
sizes you can't be and be successful in the NFL. It's like the golfers who got all muscular and giant and then decided, oh, it turns out I'm better at it if I'm just like a like the shape of every other successful golfer for the last 35 years. You don't think that there's something to that? You don't think he can be too big to play quarterback?
Well, I don't think in where he's at right now, no. Are there weight limits to being quarterback? I guess. I don't think that's a problem for Tua and what's going on here. I think he's
Tua's
doing it to
personal
protect
trainer
himself.
says he's 225 pounds and, quote, jacked.
See, that's the way that I was going. Is I think that he's not necessarily fat. It's like he's bigger,
Big Ben
but
was
he's
a little
muscular.
I just want to be clear.
Big Ben got fat late. He's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, but he wasn't at his best when he was fat. That's when he was his
guy.
worst.
Dante Culpepper.
I don't think jacked is a good position if you're a wide receiver, defensive. I don't think you should be a jacked quarterback. I don't think. Have you seen most of these guys aren't jacked? Like most of them are just like some of the most successful quarterbacks in the NFL are not like lifting weights.
Just
because
you're not Eli Manning and Tom Brady doesn't mean that you can't have a little more muscle or weight than they do.
Like
and
Patrick
be
Mahomes
successful.
is obviously he's not in bad shape.
This is a weird conversation, but some quarterbacks are a little thicker than others. Doesn't mean they can't have success.
I think he might be a little too thick.
So my first thought was, okay, Russell Wilson's a little bit shorter, but he's also kind of stocky. He's 206 pounds, so
he lost a lot of weight. He lost a lot of weight this offseason.
Exactly. You always gain the weight, and then you're like, I can't play at this size.
Hold on.
It's like CC Sabathia. Remember when he got all skinny? It was like the opposite approach. He got all skinny, and he's like, oh man, I pitched better when I was big. You got to find a weight that makes sense for the position. Quarterbacks aren't jacked. They don't just bench 500 pounds.
But he's not jacked. He just gained weight.
His trainer called him jacked.
You said he's fat, though.
No. I'm not. I definitely wouldn't. There's no way I would. I've just said he's thick. I wouldn't call him fat. Tua's definitely not fat. That seems unlikely. He's not like you said. He's not Jamarcus Russell or James Harden. I take it back. I don't think he's those guys. But I do think he's too big to play quarterback. You don't think so?
No.
6'1", 227 is what his weight is, at least that I'm looking up here. 6'1", 227.
Tua's
Derrick Henry. Oh. Derrick Henry's 6'3", 270? What's he? What's Derrick Henry weight these days?
And the Dolphins' success this year is not going to be related to, hey, Tua gained 15 more pounds than he should have.
Derrick Henry weighs 247 pounds, and he's 6'3".
Hater.
Derrick Henry is an unreal size.
Thinking of this, Drew.
No one should be able to run that fast and hard.
Drew, in our studio, we still have a whiteboard from over a year ago.
I weigh more than that.
So do I. Where Cody and I did Cody was trying to lose a lot of weight with a program he was doing, and we had fun every day we were weighing in, and you can see where we started and where we ended, and Cody tried to catch me. You notice that board has not been erased, and you're right. We would both be far above the...
we can always bring it back next summer, maybe.
We would be above the number where we ended over a year ago, but...
Should probably hang this back up wherever it goes, huh? Erase it?
I don't know. Did you feel like you performed better when you were at that weight?
Yeah. You know what? I did.
Okay.
You know what? I think so. Me and Tua. We're both going to drop 10 lbs.
What about Jalen Hurts? He's probably one of the strongest quarterbacks in the league. That dude's jacked. Almost won MVP. Went to a Super Bowl. Pretty damn good.
Was he jacked?
223 pounds.
He's one of the strongest
6'1".
quarterbacks in the league.
So he's Tua-sized.
He's one of the strongest quarterbacks in the league.
He carries it a lot better than Tua.
Okay, fine.
I'm just gonna say, if you put those two photos side by side, one of those two guys definitely looks jacked.
How much do you think Lamar Jackson weighs?
208.
So on this is 215 on the Ravens website.
Way.
On the Ravens website, it says 215.
I think he's 230.
230 is what it says in his about page.
Lamar?
Yes.
Yeah.
You think he's 230?
Yeah.
And Lamar's 6'2", so he's not too much taller than Tua. He's like an inch taller than Tua, and weighs about the same.
You can also be muscular and not be shredded. You know what I mean? You can be muscular and don't have to be extremely cut. What a weird conversation we're now. We're really
Someone
just describing.
Someone said shout out Jared Lorenzen. Okay, that's a much different situation.
He's passed away.
Patrick Mahomes, 225 pounds.
Yeah.
6'2".
He moves around pretty good, right, Cody? Flexible.
I'm just saying,
pretty flexible.
They carry it different.
That's fine. Everybody does. That's fine. That's fair if you want to say that.
All right, fine. I guess Tua's going to be great.
Impacting his performance? Nah.
I do like that. Like, trying to do anything to prevent a concussion is probably smart, but unfortunately, because it's tackle football, in the moment, there's just so much you can do to do it. I feel really bad for the way his career has been because we have no idea what kind of quarterback or level of talent he's been because of the concussions. And so much of their season rides on whether or not their quarterback's healthy. Who's their backup? Skylar Thompson's still in that roster, but I don't think
Mike White. Mike White's down there now after a little run with the Jets.
Skylar Thompson, that's a K-State player.
Yeah, you joined the K-State fan base earlier this hour. You got to start studying up on all the K-State history.
He came on our show once.
Michael Bishop, Darren Sproul. You better get Tyler Lockett. Yeah. You better get studied up.
He came on our show once, and then 3 days later broke his ankle.
Yeah,
promptly.
That wasn't good.
That was in the middle of a stretch when this show was tremendously bad.
Michael Beasley.
Oh, yeah.
Can you name any other K-State basketball players?
I mean, Michael Beasley is like the number one,
sure.
But you look at Nigel Pack, former, if you will.
That counts. He played. He was the leading scorer for a K-State team a couple of years ago.
That's right.
Dean Wade's still in the NBA, right?
I think he's still floating around there.
I think he's still in the league. I think he got a nice contract. So we're going to teach you about
Marquise from, the darling, if you will, of the NCAA tournament last year.
But yeah,
played 20 minutes a game last year, Dean Wade, for the Cavaliers.
If you missed it, Drew has chosen K-State as his college team now that he's part of the Kansas City area.
I used the EMAW hashtag and everything.
Oh, wow.
You used EMAW? Oh, man. Do you even know what it stands for?
I do not.
You're also going to have to start. I'm not doing it. You have to do a little power cat hand thing or whatever. I'm not doing that.
I almost got one of the cat rear sounds.
They do the little cat thing with their hand. I'm not doing it.
You don't want to do it because you think it'll disrespect.
And we're
your
on
own-
video. You kidding me? Again, screenshot video of me
KU
doing
fan?
it.
Oh, that would be.
I'm not doing that.
Oh man.
You have to. You can study that up on your study about that on your own. They can teach you. I'm not teaching you.
Gay State fans, he still needs to know 913-586-7610. Tell him the places he needs to know in Manhattan too. We're going to send him out for a game at least at some point. I still think we should try to get someone from K-State on the show. I think either Chris Kleiman or Jerome Tang.
I will get on that.
I think Jerome Tang would play along a little bit more.
Then Kleiman?
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems plausible.
All right, coming up next,
Maybe
though.
we can get the now Dallas Cowboy. Maybe we can get Deuce Vaughn.
Deuce looks impressive in preseason for the Cowboys. Been fun to watch.
How much do you think he weighs? 5'8".
185?
I bet you he's 205. 5'8", 205.
Football players, man.
All right, coming up next, Drew's now going to choose a new NFL team as well. We're going to give our pitch for the Chiefs now.
Oh,
We will
no.
not do that. We will actually talk about Chris Jones, though. What Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes had to say about Chris Jones not being with the Chiefs.
Cody and Gold on 610 Sports Radio and the Odyssey app.
You talk on the radio.
Yeah.
You're a fanboy.
Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
Any dog person knows the most valuable thing in the world is spending time with your pet. Whether they're a puppy or a senior dog, the Farmer's Dog makes it easy to keep them healthy, which can give you more quality years with them. The Farmer's Dog makes and delivers fresh, healthy dog food. It's recommended by vets, nutritionally balanced, and made from human-grade ingredients in safe, clean kitchens. Invest in your dog's health and live more healthy, happy, and full years together. Get 50% off your first box at thefarmersdog.com/dog days.
We're hiring residential garage door installers at Overhead Door Company of Kansas City. Join the team trusted here since 1927. Apply today, get a call today. No experience necessary. Paid training for motivated applicants to install garage doors. Hiring bonus up to $2,500. Mechanical, carpentry, or service industry experience is a plus. Good benefits include health, dental, vision, and pension. Earn as you learn to service the best garage door customers in KC. Apply today at overheaddoorkc.com.
Hey guys, Beat Up here from Fesco in the Morning, wrapping up week number 12 of the Slim for Life program, down 62 pounds already. Can you imagine losing 15% of your body fat? Well, Slim for Life has made it possible and affordable by partnering with a prestigious compound pharmacy so you can take advantage of the new semaglutide medications that all the celebrities are taking for only $99 this month. On Slim for Life's medical plan, medical professionals are with you every step of the way to help you achieve your weight loss goals. With these life-changing new medications, the safest and most effective approach to achieving sustainable weight loss. It's now time to look better and feel better, just like me. Improve your health, have tons of energy. Now you can join the other 100,000 clients like myself in Kansas City that said, I did it, I'm Slim for Life. Call 833-SLIM today to start your semaglutide meds for only $99 this month. And when you tell them that you heard it from Beat Up and 610 Sports Radio and schedule that free consultation, you can win tickets to see our defending Super Bowl champions play on September 7th. So hit them online at slim4life.com. Exclusive of products, shipping may apply.
Put over $100,000 back in your pocket with the Freedom Loan, exclusive at Cap One Lending. You've heard us talk about the Freedom Loan for years. Here's how it works. It pays mostly principal first, eliminating thousands in interest and taking years off your mortgage, all without changing your spending habits. Call Cap One Lending at 816-905-1111 or apply at caponelending.com. Imagine paying your mortgage off in half the time with half the interest, all with no out-of-pocket closing cost. Whether you're purchasing, refinancing, or taking cash out, call Cap One Lending now and we'll have your loan approved in an hour and ready to close in 10 days. 816-905-1111, 905-1111, or apply at caponelending.com.
Cap One Lending, making your dreams a reality is what we do.
Cap One Lending, a Kansas licensed mortgage company, license number MC0026341, NMLS of Missouri license 2468614. Programs and rates subject to change without notice.
Tailgates and turkey? Yes, please. This season, score a touchdown with U.S. soy-fed turkey. Versatile, tasty, and truly different, turkey is always a winner. You can get all the recipes and register for a chance to win the ultimate prize pack at tailgatewithturkey.com. You'll be the pride of the parking lot.
Was your local supply chain impacted by the closure of Yellow Freight? There's a solution, and it's Spot On, KC's one-stop shop-to-ship, one pallet to a truckload within 250 miles of the metro. Short-haul trucking, yard management, including single-trailer repositioning, white-glove final-mile service, same-day service, and more. Spot On's service record and innovative custom solutions separates them from the rest. Spot On will go the extra mile for you. SpotOnTMS.com. That's SpotOnTMS.com.
We're talking with Dr. Chris Hettinger, board-certified urologist at Kansas City Urology Care. Tell us what sets KCUC apart from other urology practices.
The things that make us stand out are the technology at our disposal, the quality of the surgeons, and the experience from years and years of robotic surgery.
KCUC was the first to bring robotic surgery to Kansas City, right?
We performed the first robotic surgery in Kansas City in 2003 and continue to perform hundreds of urologic robotic surgeries in the Kansas City metro area every year. Robotic surgery offers less blood loss, shorter hospitalization, less pain, shorter recovery period. After robotic surgery, many of my patients get back to work within a week or two. For abdominal surgery, it's revolutionized what we've done.
From problems urinating to sexual function to prostate cancer, see the experts. Kansas City Urology Care. At KCUC, you see the best in KC. To make an appointment, visit appointments.kcurology.com.
You can get a new career in as little as 4 months, and our friends over at Centric can make sure you're in one.
Look, if you're thinking about a career change, you also want to make sure you're going to the right place that has the relationships that are needed. And Centric does. With over 1,500 different companies in the Kansas City area, they can help you find that job in the future. They also make sure they have the most up-to-date curriculum because of those relationships.
Classes are starting at the end of August. Alex and I love technology, so do you. Go to Centric.com/610. It's that easy. Our guy, Russ Mondry, will find that new career for you.
Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric. The technicians you can trust with your house keys for over 70 years. Receive 0% financing plus 12-year parts and labor warranty on a new cooling and heating system. Call 268-4669, Kansas or Missouri, or book online now at anthonyphce.com.
KFC's new chicken nuggets. Hand-breaded, original recipe, 100% white meat chicken nuggets. The perfect back-to-school dinner option for...
Are those chicken nuggets?
Yeah, I was thinking we could...
Chicken nuggets! Chicken nuggets! Chicken nuggets! Chicken nuggets!
What is happening?
It's dinner time. Order KFC Original Recipe Chicken Nuggets, 10 pieces for just $5. You've never had nuggets like these. That's finger-licking good. Prices and participation may vary. Taxes, tips, and fees extra.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My check engine light's on?
That could hurt your gas mileage. The AutoZone free Fix Finder service can help find the fix for free.
Get in zone. This whole report for free?
That's right, printed and on your phone for free.
Get in zone. But what if the fix is too tough?
We'll recommend a local shop. Fix Finder, only at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios. Last year, Pete Sweeney was accused of cheating in the hot dog derby. This year, he's been disqualified for competing, so come join us for 610 Day at the K and watch the drama unfold on Tuesday, August 29th. 610 Sports Radio, KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, always live on the free Odyssey app.
1 o'clock hour, Cody and Gold on a Wednesday. Alex Gold, Cody Tapter, Nixon producing the show. Here in about 30 minutes, we're handing things off to Vern. Vern's On Deck show. Early start time, Royals baseball this afternoon right here on 610 Sports
What do you do with that extra
Radio.
half hour in your life today,
I got some
you know?
things to do here, so it just means I can get that stuff done and still get home at the normal time.
But you're going to have 30 extra minutes in your life today. How are you going to spend
I kind
it?
of like it. Yeah, it'd be good. I bought the new Madden, so I'll probably play that.
Every year, man. Every year you're like, I don't know if I'm going to buy it this year.
I got the football.
Was it Vinny? Was it Vinny talking about buying it? Is that what sucked you in?
A little bit, but also, it kind of gets you ready for the football season a little bit.
Okay.
Well, you got the updated rosters. Like, you don't want to be playing with the old crew. Now I can play with the Chiefs. I got Rasheed Rice, Richie James.
You got Chris Jones on your squad?
He's still on the squad because he's still on the squad in real life as well.
He's under contract.
Yeah.
People do, all the headlines are very misleading. Whether like the Chiefs star player still not under contract.
No, he's under contract.
He's under contract. He's just not showing up to work.
We know he's not showing up so far. We know yesterday the tweet, right? Fan asked him, when are you showing up? He said week 8. someone said, hey, that's a lot of cash, basically. And he's like, I can afford it. That prompted some of the questions today for Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. This is what Andy Reid had to say about Chris Jones not showing up still.
Chris Jones is suggesting on his social media accounts that maybe he's willing to sit out for a little while. I don't know if he's serious or not. But do you expect him to start the season without him at this point?
I haven't. There's been no communication, so I don't know what's going to go there. But whatever happens, happens. I mean, not there. The game goes on, right? So that's how it works. So.
You used to do the GM stuff too. I know you've said you kind of like not being a part of that. But as someone who's a head coach and been here for as long as you have, you know Chris so well, is there a way for you to get involved with this, or you just?
No, not right now. There's not. Yeah. So they got to communicate and do their thing, and there's just been no communication. So.
That's the first time we've heard that much even from Andy on this. Before it was kind of like, we're worried about it. There's communicate. No, he said no communication, and basically football goes on if he doesn't show up. And as a coach, that is the mentality you have to hear or have to say and have. We also know it's a little bit different. I mean, he was asked at the end there about, you were basically a GM before. Is there anything you can do? He kind of hesitated for a second there. It's a weird spot because as the coach, your football team is flat out better with Chris Jones on the field. But you also know your organization feels he's worth a certain dollar amount. And as a coach, you're never going to be like, well, you don't think he's worth a certain dollar amount. That's never going to happen. That's how you get in trouble.
No, but I mean, you can hear the tone has shifted a lot in the last 2 weeks.
Well, the tweet shifted from Chris Jones, too.
Andy was annoyed a couple of weeks ago. Now he's mad, I think is pretty safe to assume at this point. And yeah, Chris Jones is now, whether it's in jest or not, threatening to sit out 8 weeks is significant because that is not an accidental timeline he suggested. 8 weeks is the exact amount of time that if you showed up to your team, you would still accrue an entire year of service time, which means you'd still be a free agent at the end of the season. So he is giving you that as a direct threat, whether it be a joke or not, and he's just responding to some random person on.
I don't think it's a joke.
Or just responding to somebody on Twitter. That timeline is serious, and the fact that they don't have any communication is serious, and it puts into line the real possibility you might miss games. Yeah. I know yesterday you said you didn't think you'd miss a game. I told you I thought it was in the cards, but I wouldn't have bet on it.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm like, it's still in the cards, and I guess I'm a little higher to betting on it. I still think he'll show up.
15 days away. Monday's when I start to get nervous that he's going to miss week 1. I've told you, and maybe I'm thinking of more of like, hey, what I think is a bad decision than what he'll do. Because, yeah, you're right. I don't think he'll miss games. Maybe that's because I think it would be a foolish decision to miss games if I'm Chris Jones. I'm not saying that he hasn't had every right to handle it the way he has to this point. Missing camp and all that, that's fine. Leverage that you had at that point. But I don't think you gain leverage by missing week 1. I don't. People can disagree, obviously, but I don't think Clark Hunt and Brett Veach, if he misses week 1 against the Lions, suddenly are going to cave. I think it has to get done before the season, and I think it's foolish financially to miss games, over $1 million a week of missing games, much different than just camp. And while, yeah, you can keep the accrual year if you show up before week 8, you're losing $10 million, let's say, and I think it impacts how you get paid next offseason. Because I'm not talking about Kansas City.
I think there's a chance it doesn't at all.
That's fine. Yeah, you and I differ on that. He'll be a year older. That was my thought. And he's less production. All of that comes into play. That's where I think it's a foolish decision. And if the Chiefs, we can talk about bluffing and all that. I think the Chiefs misread the situation from the beginning, though, right? I mean, I think we go back to May when he was their number one offseason priority. And, hey, at the time, Brett Veach was saying we got all this runway. I don't think – I mean, Mahomes, we'll play it in a second. Mahomes even acknowledged that nobody really thought that he wouldn't be here. I think the Chiefs misjudged this. Brett Veach has done a great job with contract negotiations historically. The Mahomes deal, obviously, the Travis Kelce deal. They didn't pay certain guys, and they knew they had younger guys going. I think this is one where they didn't have a good read. And just because Chris Jones tweeted out in April, Chief for life, doesn't mean that Chris Jones is just going to sign whatever
legally
contract.
Obligated?
Yeah, I mean, anybody can tweet anything when it comes to business decisions. That's what this is, both for Chris Jones and for Brett Veach and the Chiefs. What you tweeted out doesn't mean you're held to that. And so, do I think Chris Jones wants to be a Chief? I do. It does. Just because you say that doesn't mean you have to sign whatever you want.
But he also knows that this is the last massive paycheck he's getting in his NFL career, and he'd like that too. And some of this goes back to the arguments we've heard with baseball and football and all this stuff too. And I know the fans get tired of it because it is, how are you telling me that $105 million is going to leave you destitute and $115 million is what you actually need? I get it. Nobody likes the Rashid saying, I got to feed my kids. You're like, kids? You're talking about $100 million.
Millionaires and billionaires negotiating.
But yeah, it's not like Clark can't come off of it. The other part of it that is fascinating to me is, what is the point of Patrick Mahomes giving them the flexibility in his contract to do things if they're not going to do them? They have not paid a single player a significant contract since Patrick Mahomes took what was a deal that a lot of agents and people across the league didn't like. So he took this deal and he did all this, and who are you paying? Not paying Tyreek. Right now you're not paying Chris Jones. You let L'Jarius Sneed, or not L'Jarius Sneed, you let Charvarius Ward walk last year. You haven't given an extension to anyone other than like 1-year contracts. 0 extensions have been handed out. You didn't, are you going to pay? I guess what this brings to me is like, if you won't pay Creed his number, does that mean?
Chris.
Are you, yeah, if you're not going to pay Chris's number, are you going to pay Creed his number? Are you going to pay Trey Smith his number? Let's say Rashee Rice becomes a star. Are you going to pay him his number? Or is this we pay no one under any circumstance kind of situation? And if that's the case, why take a discount?
Yeah, so I get what you're saying. I think the quick response is, well, hey, Patrick, I've still built a championship caliber roster for you, and we've won a ring.
That's a pretty good defense in that room.
I think that's probably the first response. I get what you're saying. I think clearly that was all about flexibility for the roster. The argument is just that, hey, I've still built a championship caliber roster, and I've made decisions and passed on guys. I just think we did all believe that Chris Jones was part of one of these 3 players on the roster that they would be willing to go top of market value on. Who knows? We don't know exactly what the offer is. There's been reports of how the $30 million per year average ask from Chris Jones and his team, and at this point in time, I think if I'm the agent of Chris Jones, I would imagine there was a conversation at some point, which is, hey, if you don't show up to X amount of camp days, okay. If you actually don't show up for games, not only is there a financial risk, but you have to understand and know that, hey, there's going to be a big shift in how the fans view you. And I'm not saying that he shouldn't try to get his money, but that is
already started to happen.
It's really heated up with the tweet yesterday. Yeah. But that's a risk that you have to take and something you acknowledge. Now, if they come up with a deal still, then everybody moves on and
nobody cares.
Kumbaya, and everything's great. Okay.
All of you will apologize for because I get it. Be like, he's not worth that money. Yeah, sure. He's the most important player on their defense.
So there's the fan sentiment to it. Now, let's say he doesn't get a deal. He shows up a week or two in the season or whatever, and he has a great year, and they go to the playoffs, win a Super Bowl, and it's his last year. I think, things calm down in terms of how people view him. But I'll tell you this, whether he gets a new deal or not, if he comes in, whether it's week 1 or week 4 or week 8, and he isn't on the field a lot because he's not in shape or he gets off to a rough start, you'll see a criticism level that we haven't seen in a very long time towards a star player for this football team.
An untouchable player for the Chiefs for the long time. The most heat he took recently was when he couldn't get a postseason sack. But they've got 2 Super Bowl wins. He has postseason sacks now. He has pressure in the most important games, like getting to Joe Burrow in the AFC title game last year. His performance in the Super Bowl in important moments, both Super Bowls in the important moments, and the pressure he got on the quarterbacks, even if they didn't come with sacks. He was kind of an untouchable man. But that's also what's confusing to me about this money thing is we know that the number is somewhere between, we know for a fact, the number is somewhere between $1 million more than Quinnen Williams got a year and Aaron Donald's contract. That's the range. There's just no way that's not the range. Even to the people you talk to, it's got to be somewhere in there. So if the Chiefs are offering $2 million or $1 million more, let's say they're offering $27 million a year and Chris is asking for 30, I just always thought the Chiefs this is the player they would bend on. I know you don't like to bend under many circumstances, but I've told you the Patriots for the longest time, and they were the successful franchise, and that's why people love them, they had a firm line in the sand on everybody. Didn't matter who the hell you were, there was still a line. I feel like there's an in-between for what they did and what you should do, where this is the player that if it really is a couple $1 million a year, this is where you should bend, and you should cheap out on somebody else, to be honest. Because I think he's that important of a player to the organization.
We can all say, hey, in hindsight, they should have done something. But as a general manager, like you have to predict and have to understand and have a good read on how things are going. Again, that we can wake up tomorrow and suddenly there's progress. Okay, I'm not saying it's impossible to get something done in 15 days. But looking back, I would love to know how seriously did they ever consider trade possibilities? Because you look back at it, if you knew that there was a chance your star player could actually miss games, you could have moved on. You could have not had the final year. I told you I think Chris Jones is needed to win a Super Bowl this year. I think he is, based on the roster
I think you win
construction.
one without him, but it's harder.
I think you could win one without him if you would have traded him in the offseason and already built your defense knowing that you don't have this piece in the middle that had 15 and a half sacks. You would have had more financial flexibility. You could have gone out and signed a defensive lineman.
But you could
free
still
agency.
trade for one. Couldn't you just, the same as Kadarius Toney? Look, it's not a perfect solution.
I don't think you can, though. I really don't. Not now.
Why not? You traded for Toney in the middle of the season. You can't go get a defensive lineman 5 weeks from now
from
a team that doesn't.
Don't have the money to do it.
But if I'm saying, in this case, you still have to trade Chris Jones.
No,
do you see what I'm saying?
Well, I disagree with that anyway.
In this case, Chris Jones is gone.
I don't think you can do that. Yeah, I don't think you can do it too late. Other teams don't have. On the flip side, what other team has the cap space to trade that? Bears are the one team.
Relationship with Ryan Poles.
Yeah, that's the one team that people want to point out, and I think it's because of the Ryan Poles relationship.
Fine, but technically it does work there. It's a square peg and a square hole. I'm not saying it's a perfect solution.
It doesn't help
but
your team this year.
Work.
My issue is you could have made a
Nothing
decision.
helps your team this year if Chris Jones isn't on the field.
If you could have looked at the situation, if you were Brett Veach in the offseason, you could have traded him in April. Now, to me, he's untradeable. Sorry. In April, you could have traded him, got draft picks back, first of all, spent money in other areas, including defensive line, and felt like you assembled a defense that could still get pressure on the quarterback. I think you're up against the wall here a little bit. Not that Chris Jones missing games is going to force you to sign a deal, but he's got to be part of your plans this year now, whether it's for 12 games or all 17. He's got to be part of your plan because of how this defense is structured. Amenahu's out for 6 weeks. Felix Anudike-Uzomah is a bit of a project. You haven't been able to bring back in Carlos Dunlap. So, yeah, that's a problem defensively.
I think it takes a creative solution, but there would still be a way that if you had to, you could work a trade. But it requires you getting worse in the defensive line. But there is no solution, even if they had traded him before the season, that didn't look that way.
I disagree. In April,
I don't think there's any way for them to have as good of a pass rush in April, even if they got rid of.
You could have come closer. Right now, there's no way you can come anywhere near it if you were to trade him. You're not trading Chris Jones and then bringing back another veteran that's going to get you 10 sacks. It's not happening.
No, but can you negate the loss a little bit and increase your draft position? Yes.
Yeah.
Which to me is similar to what April. But to me, that's the same concept.
I could have drafted someone in April. I could have also used some of that money and actually, you're worried about the wide receivers. Maybe that would have allowed them to keep Juju Smith-Schuster or somebody else with extra money. They could have gone and signed 2 or 3 players for the current cap hit that they have right now.
Look, the argument is not that they would have been better served to do this in April. That answer is yes. I'm just saying there's still a path forward in September if you feel pressured to do that. Because part of the problem is, let's say he's serious and he's not going to play till week 8. Yeah. I'm not sure it's a good idea. I'm not sure it's a good idea to keep going down that road versus, okay, Chris Jones isn't a factor for this team this year anyway. He's not going to play half the year. He won't be ready by the time he gets here, and then we have to make a decision. I'm not sure you wouldn't be better off getting him to a team that would pay him and then trying to get 50%, 60%, 70% of the production of Chris Jones out of a trade where you move up a little bit in the draft, you get because you're going to get more back from Chris Jones versus whatever you'd give up.
That doesn't do anything for me, though. If you've told me right now, 100% Chris Jones, let's say 100% I knew Chris Jones wasn't playing until week 9. Let's just say in this hypothetical, I'll still take that scenario versus a trade 15 days before the season that doesn't maybe result in what I should actually be getting in return. I know for this year's team, the roster that is assembled, Chris Jones has to be part of the equation to get to a Super Bowl and win it. And so even if he misses the first 9 weeks, I don't think the Chiefs are going 3-6 out of the gate, even without Chris Jones. So
they'll still make the postseason and all those things.
So to me, even if Chris Jones didn't show up till week 13, I'll still take Chris Jones on the roster this year. Any scenario of Chris Jones on the roster, I just think is something that should have happened back in April.
Well, it would have been that definitely would have been the better timing. There's no argument for that. That's the better time to have made these moves. Now
it's a rare misread by Veach.
And by the way, this goes for both ways. Andy stepping up to the podium, there's been no communication. We do whatever we do. That's the same thing as Chris Jones sending out a tweet. Every time Andy comments on it, it is a public statement about the Chris Jones situation, not including Patrick in this. It's very different. Yeah, it's very different circumstances the way he answered this. But even he was surprised by the fact that Chris Jones wasn't there.
Chris Jones is out there on Twitter suggesting maybe he'll skip a half a season or whatever. I don't know how serious he is, but I do know he's not here. Are you expecting to start the season without him?
No, not necessarily. I mean, I know that stuff, contract stuff, is hard to talk about because everybody wants to make money for their entire family and everything like that. But I know how much Chris loves the Chiefs. He loves being a part of this organization. And so I just try to stay out of it and just tell Chris that I love him and that whenever he does come back, he'll be welcomed with open arms. And we know that he's preparing himself so that whenever he does get back, he can be that dominant player that he always has been.
With that said, has this been going on maybe a little longer than you anticipated it would when say, camp first started?
Yeah, I don't think anyone expected him not to be here now, but that's part of the contract negotiation stuff. So, I mean, I'm not looking down on him for anything like that. He has stuff that he's trying to get done that he feels like he needs to get done right now. And so I respect his decision. And then whenever he gets back, like I said, we open him with open arms. And he's a vital part of this organization. And so I'm glad that he's on my team.
I mean, the players understand the contract side. They're all trying to get paid too. You know, it's a weird spot to be in, I think, actually, for Mahomes and the Chiefs or for the players, I'm sorry, because they all know, like, they want to be able to get a contract in the future from this organization. And that's the other thing that's been, we've talked about. Typically, they have taken care of players, though. So it's a big boom to the locker room when you see, hey, this organization, this front office took care of one of my teammates. Maybe they'll actually take care of me. We've said that's been a benefit, actually, with some of the prior moves they have done.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's the other part is, like, right now, we talked about, like, hey, everybody should want to just play for Patrick Mahomes. And he's like, right now, what's the Chiefs' reputation? Not paying me. Getting drafted by the Chiefs is a one-way ticket to play 4 years and then be gone in Kansas City. They haven't paid, let me be clear, anyone outside of Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. And so, like, I get this part of it, but I do wonder about, like, your reputation does matter in the league, too. Like, you're a free agent who's coming to Kansas City. Your reputation is not and you don't have to be the team that's going to pay top dollar. You can just be like, how your reputation is, you have a chance to win a Super Bowl here. So do you want to come here or not? But with some players, you do have to pay that price. Tooney, I guess, is maybe the only other one they pay top dollar.
From a free agent.
But that's a free agent, not a guy who was...
You're saying
in-house.
in-house.
Not saying they're in-house guys.
And Nick Bolton might be the first one, if they actually...
Or Creed Humphrey, but they haven't paid them yet either, so let's not count our chickens.
Sure.
I thought they were going to pay Chris Jones.
I think the one thing anytime we're having this specific conversation and talking about, how they've handled it maybe in a negative way or whatever it may be, I would say, again, for much as criticizing how they haven't paid anybody, again, they assembled a roster that won a championship last year. So as much as we can say, hey, they haven't shown that they pay anybody. They don't take care of anybody. And the way he's operated has equated to a championship caliber roster twice since he's been the GM. Like I think he's mismanaged the Chris Jones situation, but in general, he's assembled, without paying top dollar, assembled championship rosters twice.
Sure.
I mean, there's something to be said for that.
But that's, you can't ever just do the same thing 15 years in a row and expect it to work either. Just because it worked before, and with the players you let go, here's the thing. With the players you let go before, I agreed with Veach under every circumstance.
Yeah, I mean, they also paid Chris Jones in 2019, 2020.
They did.
So, I mean, that's an example of an in-house guy they actually did pay.
Fair enough. They paid Chris Jones the last. Was that under Veach? I guess it was
It
19.
was, yeah.
And it was.
Yeah.
But they won a Super Bowl that way. The argument is, like, they didn't pay these other guys and it worked fine, but they did pay Chris Jones for one, and this is the one you pay. Like, I know that sounds complicated because, like, somewhere 5 years from now, I'd be like, which one? You pay three guys on this team. Truthfully, I would be okay. We would not talk about this the same if this was any other player, including our guy, Creed Humphrey, a guy that I believe is an all-pro, maybe future Hall of Fame type talent at center. But you pay Chris Jones because he is the Patrick Mahomes of your defense. He is the reason why you've been able, he is one of the single biggest reasons why you've been able to win these Super Bowls. Mahomes is one, Reed is two, but Chris Jones is on that list before you get to five. Right? Even if we include front office, even if you include Mahomes and Veach and Reed, Chris Jones is still in the top five of that list. Kelce and Jones probably wraps up the five I just mentioned, right? You would not, anybody argue those are the five biggest reasons why they've won the Super Bowl two times?
This is why I say they can't win without Chris Jones Super Bowl this year with the way the roster is constructed. I'm not saying in the future that they can't win a Super Bowl without Chris Jones. I'm saying the way the roster is constructed because they didn't have an offseason to build without Chris Jones, to me, they can't do that this particular season. 15 days to go, man. For not Chris Jones, but for the start of the season.
Yeah.
He's got like 6 days. If that.
Less. I think he has like till tomorrow.
You said tomorrow. I think Monday.
Tomorrow would be nice.
Otherwise, he's like, if he's not here.
Please, Chris, we miss you. Show up.
Monday or Tuesday, then he's not playing week one. That's kind of where I'm at.
I didn't think he'd miss this long. Now I definitely think week one's in question.
Let's be honest. Brett Veach's job is to judge it right. We all misjudged it. It's more of an issue when he misjudges it than you and I on the radio misjudging the situation. Sure. Just a little bit different.
Slightly different
All
circumstances.
right, Royals baseball coming up. Vern's got his on-deck show as the Royals will be on the air right here on 610 Sports Radio. We'll be back at it tomorrow, maybe with more tweets from Chris Jones.
Never know.
Cody and Gold.
The Disgusting Brothers.
Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
You know, you have one of those jobs where you got to like work every weekend. Last Saturday, right? We played the wiffle ball game. My nephew who went to Citric, he was available. The other family members weren't, right? It depends. When you're looking for those, the flexibility, the way to move up in this, you got to look at Citric to get that career in IT. And you can do that by going to